The Mariners, huh? Home game? Hadn't won a home playoff game since 2001. That's our wheelhouse. That's Griffey. That's big unit. That's A-Rod. Mike, you got wrapped up in the Seattle Mariners last year. Were you paying attention to them at all this year? Have you checked in on them even during the playoffs?
So I'm in a Mariners group chat with Mina and some other sports media luminaries. So that's how I've been able to follow them. I haven't watched a single game, but they're all over my algo. Big dumper guy. I'll check back in this week now that the football weekend is over.
I have to be careful on this one because I'm not 100% sure. Why were we acting like Julio Rodriguez is dying? Like, I was super confused about, like, all of the honors and everything that we were doing for Julio Rodriguez. Like, he got a hit and an RBI, good. But, like, we were acting – he's not retiring. He's, like, 32 or something. What?
Seattle badly wants a superstar. He is part of –
They have one, big dumper.
Yeah.
He's going to be the MVP of the league potentially.
Yeah, but him, he's now the old guy. He's now whatever Ken Griffey Jr. was when A-Rod was coming up. Like that.
He could never. He could never.
He's 24.
Didn't you have a jersey?
I do have a Rodriguez jersey. That's the Rodriguez?
He's 24. Why are we acting like this is the end for him?
He's one of the old-timey Mariners. He's been there suffering for years.
He's 24. Older than C.J. Stroud.
Man, they're making high school players who are dominating FSU who are 17. Like, I don't even understand how it is a 17-year-old can run a college football sport on the road with perfect passes. He's 17. You guys do know the U is back, right?
To work.
Football is back, Jack. Oh my, we've waited for so long. We're so damn excited that we put it in a song. Don't need no check downs. Give me big hits and quarterbacks. Keep your fantasy team from falling off the track. Football is back, Jack. Whether on the ground or through the air, when the chips are down and you throw a prayer, when your team is primed and on the hunt, it's 4th and 10, you refuse to punt. When the shoulder pads and helmets crack, that's how you know that football is back, Jack. Let me hear you say, football is back, Jack. This high is wild and out of control, and we're gonna ride it every week till we reach the Super Bowl. Don't need no check downs. Give me big hits and quarterbacks. If you say this game's the best, I'll say it's a gag. Football is back, Jack. Football is back, Jack. Football is back. Football is back, Jack.
I meant to get to the Panthers fighting the Lightning when we were talking earlier because the delight on Roy's face as the two-time champions returned to work by just creating a riot that if it happened in any other sport, a riot of such intensity, we would ban the teams forever and organizations and say you cannot behave that way. That was supposed to be a professional hockey game. You cannot have 7,000 penalties and a guy getting an assist who'd been ejected.
Well, I can tell you that the Panthers didn't create that riot. It was the Lightning, and that was in response to Thursday's game when A.J. Greer.
It's in response to the last 10 years, Roy.
Okay, fine.
It's not. It's in response to the last 10 years of the fight for hockey has been in this state, which is funny at Canada's expense. And they're fighting the Lightning because bleep you, Lightning, we took what was yours. That's why they're fighting the Lightning. You're going to go to the micro on that?
Yeah.
These are organizations that hate each other because the Panthers took what the Lightning got because the Lightning taught them how to take it.
Well, I mean, the Panthers kind of taught themselves with what they did with Vegas and losing that series. But yes, you're exactly right.
The Panthers had a goal removed that they scored in that preseason game because Mikkola assisted it after he was ejected. Think about that for a second.
I got some stats for you here. There were 20 roughing minors. There were 4 majors that weren't fights. There were 5 fights, 2 match penalties, 6 10-minute misconducts, 12 game misconducts, 65 total penalties.
It was a riot. They didn't play a hockey game. It was a riot. You know how I'm watching football, and every once in a while, soccer breaks out with the kickers, and rugby breaks out with the tush push, and or boxing breaks out, and we're like, don't put this with my sports. This was a full-fledged riot.
322.
That was
penalties.
not a hockey game. That was the Panthers and the Lightning have been fighting over the state for the last 10 years, and in college football, the 3 teams have been fighting for the state for the last 50 years. And I am not going to be a prisoner of the moment on this, so I'm going to offer you some qualifiers. And I'm going to say that I understand that the University of Miami is fully capable of losing a football game to Duke or Georgia Tech. But the team that I saw do that in Tallahassee to that Florida State team that was 2-10 last year and confused us all with what happened at Alabama, the University of Miami can beat you more ways than any team in college football. They are the best team in college football. Maybe Ohio State could beat them in a game because whatever, but the talent they have more ways to beat you than any team in the sport. It's obvious. What Texas just had happen to them at Florida, these are not one-game samples. Over a month, the best athletes are always in Florida, and Miami has ransacked them. I saw USF. USF is a good football team. USF has a ton of talent. And look at what happens when Texas goes into the swamp. An offense that was incompetent with the Gators suddenly makes what's supposed to be the cream of the SEC and the guy with the quarterback chromosome. Oh, no, Texas, you're not even going to make the playoff. You're Penn State. Fraud. It's bogus. Florida takes the sport back. So now it's Florida and Ohio State. Because what you saw from Miami in doing that to a physical FSU team that did that to Alabama is, oh, you can't play with them. They can beat you with big plays now. They can beat you with defense. They're not going to do all of the dumb things. They'll take a touchdown off the board because of an illegal procedure. Fine. The kid turned 18, had 3 touchdowns, one of them taken away. The one that was taken away was prettier than the others, and one of those was a pro throw. So Florida State got ransacked. Do not let the score fool you. Maybe Miami loses a game because whatever. The stuff that's been at the end where they go conservative in the second half, maybe they lose a game, but they're better than anybody else in the first half because when they take the field, they're extraordinary. Like they are the balanced thing that doesn't exist in a sport that's gone true parity.
FSU did a really good job against Miami's run. They kind of sold out for that. Miami was prepared for that game plan, knew that they could take some shots on some corners. That gamble entering the game for his career, Carson Beck was 3 of 15 on balls that traveled over 40 yards in the air. In the first half, he had 2 of such passes. The third bounced off of Malachi Toney's hands. It was an absolute dot from Carson Beck. I think maybe we should apply the context of it raining down here for a month straight when we have conversations about Carson Beck. He was dynamite. And I heard I did a lot of listening to FSU podcasts both before and after the game. And a pretty good analogy was made by one of the FSU podcasts is Miami's that power hitter that a pitcher decides, if you want to beat us, you're going to beat us. We're going to throw low and away, and you're going to have to find a way to beat us. Okay, we'll go Oppo. Like, okay, that's what you're going to give us. We'll beat you whichever way you want us to. Miami's a very deep, very balanced team.
Why are your hands tied? Your hands have been tied. This program's hands have been tied for 20 years. Why are your hands presently tied? That looks like a good, tight. I cannot tie the kind of knot that is required, a fisherman's knot, to get Mike Ryan so that he is not able to move his hands. What's happened here?
This was my second loss at the Dentech bucket. I thought I was definitely going to have another loss this last week. Shout out to Mac Jones, who saw a dead body before the game.
That was crazy.
Appreciate that. One of the more improbable straight-up victories. So thankfully, this settles my account at the Dentech bucket debt.
Does someone look cooler than they ever will? Like, the coolest anyone ever looks is roping a boat. When someone gets on the dock and they do that thing where they can just by flinging the rope.
You
tie
think that's
the knot.
Billy?
That is the peak
Billy,
of humanity.
What are you looking at? It's a
Nothing. I'm just listening. I'm here.
Give me something cooler. Beat it. The guy hops off the boat. Everyone else is still on the boat, and he's tying that thing down without even having to use a second hand.
How about pushing off when you're untying it? You're pushing off the dock.
No,
and
the
you're
untie
last
is not
guy.
as cool as the tie.
No, you don't know what you're talking
The
about.
untie, no, it's cool.
You kick off the dock and then you get back on the boat with one leg. Cooler.
Ooh, that is cool.
You're on basically both. You're on the dock and the boat. Untying. Hey, we're off back here. Boom, I kick off. And we're on.
Love a boater's
cruising.
knot. Love a boater's knot.
Chris, are you saying that you could apply yourself and then feel cool if you were coming in off the boat and what you're saying is the part that you've got covered. You're basically saying a crew member is able to do something
Captain.
with such dexterity. Well, it doesn't have to be a captain. It can just be somebody
It's
from
not
the
the
crew.
captain.
Well,
Captain's
I don't know if you
driving
guys
the
ever
boat.
gone out with someone that's like one. It's not. I don't have a yacht. Okay, you get like a captain that he's the only guy on the boat. He ends up doing it all. You guys,
You got to help him in that spot.
Yeah. You got to help.
I'm just telling you. I've been on a boat where the captain does it all.
Fine, Chris. These are details that are not
No,
particularly...
they wanted to jump down my third. Oh, the captain. Yeah, the
Well,
captain.
because you're saying it's the coolest
like the
thing.
captain would ever do that when they always do that.
It depends.
Not
yes.
always.
You
Depends the size of the boat.
Not on a
made
cruise
yourself
ship.
a man of the people by being on a smaller boat where the captain does all of the work.
No,
Okay.
a man of the people ties the knots themselves and drives the boat. They don't have a captain. Chris is like upper middle class trying to relate
We hired
to the
somebody to
poors.
drive us.
Yeah.
Every 3 years, I rent a boat for the day, and we have a captain. Once every 3 years, though. Don't get crazy. I'm saving up for this.
Chris has got it right for him because he likes the idea of a captain who's in control of the seas. Down here where it is difficult, any one of us would try to tie up that boat and we would do real damage to that boat banging against the side because it takes the dexterity and the winds do not cooperate and neither do the waves. I've seen Hanover Beach swallow all these amateurs who don't understand the inlets around
All the Tonys over here. Captain Tonys.
Hold on. Why am I being?
How
I'm
many
the one
boats
that
has Tony
I'm defensive
lost?
right now.
Thank you. One and two. I'm
lost
the,
what?
No, none. I'm saying
Oh.
the first mate. What I usually am on the boat that my father-in-law has.
Call yourself that?
I'm the guy. No, because he's the captain. The captain can't drive the boat against the dock and then jump out, tie the boat, and then come back and then tie the other
Chris
side.
is saying he's had a one-man crew who's an amazing one-man band.
And you
be
guys
done.
just sit there and watch him?
because
I'm hammered.
He's doing middle class.
Well, that's why it looks cool.
This
probably.
is what's happening. Middle class drinking, and he just gets on a boat. Your captain takes care
I'm
of
like,
everything.
"You need help?"
He'll bring out some
like,
pig.
"Dude, sit
He'll
down."
bring out some pigs in a blanket that he got at Publix, and Chris is riding the high seas on a Sunday like a baller. Because he's got a captain, but it's a one-man show unless he brings his son
Can
on
I
Sundays.
help? Just shut up and sit down. All right, thank you.
And
Maybe
one
you
Cuban
just
guy.
think the captain's cool. It's not the act of it. You just like the captain.
It's the act of that.
No,
rope
that
being
what
tied.
the thing I'm saying that Chris has right is that captain can get off a boat and he'll lasso the entirety of the seas. And it's impressive that he can do it without any help because our winds are strong. And so is our local college football team. The University of Miami, because it now has, and look, health matters and all the qualifiers, okay? In a one-game sample, anybody can lose. But what Ruben Bain does to get that 15-yard penalty, he's physically more menacing than everyone who is out there on the defensive line. He's a clear top 10 pick, and you will not throw against them consistently because they will keep plays in front of them, even if it's Castellanos. And Castellanos is good, but he felt a little bit like he was out there by himself. It's like, I'm as good an athlete as some of these other guys, but my front lines aren't as good as their front lines. And it's on both sides because you say Carson Beck in the rain. No, not Carson Beck in the rain. Carson Beck with no one around him playing a different sport because it's not loop-de-loops. It's because those defensive linemen are not going to be able to get past those offensive linemen. And so that's an easy game. Carson Beck can play that game for any team in the land if you're going to protect him like that. He'll get receivers open at Kent State that way because that's – Castellanos was not allowed to play that football game.
Castellanos.
No.
Hold on. Why is it Castellanos? Why did
Because that's
No,
what
he's-
he wants.
he's saying it
I'm
wrong?
with you, Tony. They keep telling me that I can't change his name because his mama called him that. And I'm like, his mama doesn't call him that. His mama called him Castellanos.
Llanos.
He can't change.
Llanos.
He can't change it. He's not allowed.
I think that's usually how it works.
No, it doesn't work that way. Dan, I'm with
Really?
you.
That's all right. Ruben Bain had 11 pressures. This duo of Mesidor, there was a great moment, and it was if you were there, you could notice it. Castellanos is doing his thing in the backfield, very slippery. He runs into Ruben Bain, who has his arms outstretched. I can't display it because my hands are tied. But he's like, you're going to run into my arms. Castellanos puts a foot in the ground and decides, I'll just run into Mesidor's arms instead, please. Thank you very much. 11 pressures. The sack numbers aren't there for Ruben Bain, but if you're watching these games, Ruben Bain and Mesidor are absolutely wrecking these
so
things.
here's, having watched, like, this has got some history behind it, okay, when I'm talking about what championship teams look like at Miami, just physically what they look like. How you can't get side to side on them, and even if you're a 6'6" wide receiver, you can't get past their secondary either, because we've had down here some champions, and we had down here that before Burrow and Jamar Chase was the single best college football team I'd ever seen. It was Butch Davis learning what needed to be learned, so that all of the athletes out there, you were like, oh, I see now in the pros why it is Ohio State's been good for 10 years. Look at all those receivers that came out of Ohio State. Of course, that's how it happened. Miami has never had this as an edge rush. Like, never had it. Like, I'll go back to Daniel Stubbs and Bill Hawkins, but they've always gotten the pressure up the middle. It's never been two beasts on the side that you can't get outside of either because they're too big and strong.
Yeah, two guys at the same time. Like, again, try not to be hyperbolic, but this season goes away that it's look, and you can talk about Mesidor and Bain as potentially the greatest edge rush duo in the history of Miami. You mentioned Ohio State. Miami, I know nationally everyone just is going to make the assumption, well, it's NIL, they're going after all these blue chippers, and yeah, there are some blue chippers here, but let's look at the guys making the impact in this game. There was a sequence there, and this was highlighted by Gabby Urrutia of Through the Smoke. There was a two-play sequence in which Miami got 80 yards from true freshmen. Bryce Fitzgerald, a 4-star true freshman, gets an interception, runs it back, and then Malachi Toney, who was a 3-star, gets a huge bomb, and Miami wins the game there. Ruben Bain, 4-star, should have been a 5-star, led the state in sacks, was a 4-star. Jacoby Thomas, who was absolutely flying all over the field. This was a rotational guy for Tennessee that Miami gets in the portal. Miami is also doing some really good talent evaluation.
The way Alabama lost when it went to that stadium, and that's Alabama. And we erased how quickly all of Alabama's last 15 years in saying, Alabama's done, and Florida State's back. No, Florida State has really good athletes, but they're not the best in the state. The best in the state has ransacked the state, and the best in the state has a football team that I haven't seen down here. This was not Rick's football team that got into the top 5. I doubted that team all season long. I never thought that team had the best players. But this thing steps on the field, and what I'm telling you, haven't seen what USF actually is. To drag them physically is to look at what happened with Texas when they went into Florida and are like, no, they're playing Florida football down here now. SEC, all that shit's been erased. Like whatever the gerrymandering is in the jurisdictions, no. You get all the Florida kids, and you can win the state. Everyone in the country knows you can fight with Ohio and Alabama and Georgia and anything else that you want to put out there, because physically what Miami is doing is C.J. Daniels is in Doak Campbell Stadium, and I can hear him on the microphone in the end zone doing the war chant at 28-3 because it's gone that dead after Jimbo Fisher, who knows what champions look like, is weeping during the pregame because they're doing the war chant. But no, not yet, FSU. Like, not yet, because the state has been taken. It's fixed. It's like, have no question that when Castellanos is being pressured 31 times and Beck is being pressured 6, it's fixed. Like, whatever you had on you thought their defense could not be trusted. No, Castellanos is a tremendous athlete. He did that to Alabama in that stadium. He was fighting at the end. It was impressive to watch him.
Giannis.
What's fixed?
Everything at UM is fixed.
Yeah, but Beck's gone next year, so you have to start again.
Yeah, Cameron Ward was gone last year.
Okay, I'm just saying you can't just say blankly
but
it's
but
fixed
they
with
can get the
NIL
play.
and the
No,
way things
because-
work now.
I think Mario Cristobal has shown over the last 3 years, if there's a problem, he'll solve it. Check out the hook while his DJ revolves it.
Wow.
Beck can get hurt, Billy, and it can render moot some of what I'm saying. Health can render moot much of what I'm saying.
The playoffs also, by the way, with so many rounds, I mean, they'll probably get a bye, right? But you have to win multiple rounds to get to the national championship and then win it. Like, it's not just...
That's insight we only get here.
Well, I'm just saying, it's not just, hey, finish in the top 4 and you have to win one game and you're in the championship anymore.
I think we're aware of what the standard is.
Okay.
But Billy, yes, they can turn the ball over 4 times in a game and lose. I've seen Miami lost to Penn State in a championship that made Penn State because they had a team that was that good and then had 6 turnovers and they lost. What I'm saying is that what I'm watching physically is as good as anything. It's obvious. It's obvious to the eye. Like they could turn the ball over 5 times and lose a game. It wouldn't change my opinion on they just dragged monster athletes through Florida, through USF, and through FSU. Dragged all of them.
Which is going to be the scary one on the schedule? Come on. There's a couple coming up here. Which one's it going to be, Mike?
Yeah, look, looking at the landscape of college football, if you ask yourself honestly, is there a team in this country that can run the table perfectly? I think Nick Saban, who, by the way, is unbelievable on TV and has found a way to be really good and insightful on TV without being overly charismatic. Honestly, Tom Brady should borrow a page from what Nick Saban is doing because the audience is rooting for Tom Brady. Lean on your insight. Tell me your knowledge of the game. Give me a little sneak peek into that brain of yours. Nick Saban does that routinely. And Nick Saban was tremendous on College Game Day this last week. And he made the point, we had a lot of great teams. I've won 7 national titles. You know how many of those teams went undefeated? 1. Teams have adversity. Miami is going to face adversity in these games. They've faced adversity. I think they're really well positioned. Miami looks like they can beat anyone in the nation. I do think that there's this upper tier in the nation, like Oregon, Ohio State, certainly.
Texas Tech?
Well, Texas Tech, we'll see. Texas Tech's defense, no doubt, looks like they're formidable. I'm not ready to write off Texas, but I'm really shocked at what Texas's offensive line looked like against Florida. Florida's still missing guys on defense. They got one guy back on offense. Dallas Wilson seemed to make a difference, although them running the ball seemed to be the key thing there. I was stunned. This is a program that famously had an NIL program where every offensive lineman got $1 million. Got a 7-figure deal, and Texas got dominated at the line of scrimmage. Arch Manning had no shot in that game.
The thing that I am saying, Billy, and I understand anybody, I have not done this before with the University of Miami, and I'm telling you, I didn't do it when they were 10-0 for Mark Richt because that was an inferior team physically. I haven't seen what Malachi Toney is here since like Santana Moss and Kevin Williams, where they have a little jitterbug who's faster than everybody out there. And you can put him back on punt returns and he just knows how to do what Devin Hester does, and you can't teach it.
Malaki.
It is funny. Devin Hester is actually a good one. Like if you clocked his speed, straight line speed, Devin Hester, like what you remember of Devin Hester doesn't exactly compute there. And Malachi Toney does look fast on the field. He is not this speedster guy. He is doing it by putting a foot in the ground and going, being decisive, having incredible vision. The stiff arm that he had on the one that got called back, like this kid is an unbelievable natural at the game.
It's a Restrepo with deep threat capabilities that are larger than and more obvious than Restrepo's. Like again, any of these guys can get hurt, but the way that he's trending is not something I've ever seen in the history of the school from someone who just turned 18, where it's like he can go into any swamp in America and beat your football team with 60-yard plays. That's not something that's very common at even Miami, who has had plenty of big play players.
He was forced to play a lot of quarterback last year because he was at a school in which our best players got to touch the ball every time. So that's another reason why he came in as a 3-star.
Malaki.
So if I can here, because when I look at the entire history of what it is that Florida and FSU have been, Michael Irvin and Deion Sanders right now are playing out their last act on television, figuring out how to dominate the media landscape for the last 30 years like they've dominated it. And Deion just got passed, and he's in bad health, and he's saying he's in pain during the press conference, and he's got blood clots. And I'm guessing that Deion doesn't need or want to do that much longer. He did what he wanted to do with his son. And I guess that physically he's beaten up in a way that makes all of that very hard. But he conquered, got to college football, grabbed one last grift here. And I'd assume that Deion will look for an exit ramp here, and I'm not accusing him of quitting in any way. If you're in harm and in pain and your health is bad and it's hard for him to walk and he's in and out of hospitals and your son no longer plays there and you got Travis Hunter and your son to the big day, like maybe you think he's got a greater commitment to Colorado than I do. I think he's a mercenary who's always been about Deion and got a big bag of money and will probably get out soon.
I would have thought that too, and I think it's unfair considering he's there right now. He had all the reasons that you just outlined were probably even more serious when he felt like his life was in grave danger, and he decided to tough it out. Maybe he's decided maybe it wasn't worth it, but I think he's earned a lot because of what you outlined.
I've admired these two men, flaws and all, Michael Irvin and Deion Sanders, because they taught me how to love this thing that felt like it had returned on Saturday, where Miami's going to FSU. FSU's priding itself on being the scary place with the culturally appropriated war chant that makes Jimbo Fisher cry because he'll never feel as good, even as the highest paid coach in America, than he did when he had Jameis Winston, and he was able to do what Bobby Bowden had such a hard time doing. His teacher, his mentor, Jimbo got to highest paid salary, won with the greatest quarterback that there's ever been as a freshman in the state, and cries with the war chant. Miami goes in there and throttles him. And FSU's been at the top. They go from 13-1 to 2-10 to they're good enough to beat Alabama by 2 touchdowns at home. Whatever else they are, they're good enough to do that, and that means something still, no matter the state of Alabama. To see Michael Irvin attach himself now because he realizes, no, that looks like the championship things, and I am still the guy who used to call my old dorm number from the champion Cowboys just to make sure that those University of Miami kids were doing the right things. He has now become the new mascot for the University of Miami at 50. He's reinventing himself. Television jobs are drying up. They're hard to get. Like, he's on First Take with Cam Newton, but there aren't a lot of spaces right now for Michael Irvin. So what's he doing?
He had one until he cost himself the job.
Seems to be taking a belt to the side of the
BTA,
wall.
Dano, BTA.
That is correct. He's on Media Hard Times, but he's officially allowed to be the University of Miami's mascot. Who? Can you guys find this for me, Lewis, in the back room? It used to be that the mascot, the Ibis has had 2 legendary scandals. One, he was handcuffed on the field at Doak Campbell. There's a photo of that somewhere. The Ibis mascot was handcuffed on the field. The other illegality was an Orange Bowl game that wasn't supposed to be a home game. The Hurricanes weren't allowed to come through the smoke, and he still brought out a fire extinguisher anyway. Those are the 2 great scandals of the greatest mascot there's ever been in South Florida. Michael Irvin's better. Michael Irvin should forever be the mascot for the University of Miami football team. He could be Yama Yama. He could be Dolphin Denny. He could be the greatest mascot there's ever been for the University of Miami football team. Does anyone here not endorse that? Will you guys all notarize that if I allow that for the rest of the time?
You see him get bowled over during the game? He and Holly Rowe, tough as nails. Yeah. Went to the ground twice during that game.
Put it on the poll. Holly Rowe, tough as nails, yes or no? The University of Miami, people are going to see it as an overreaction, I think. Billy, you want to pull the other you want to pull the other side of this today and say
No, it's the best team we've ever seen.
It's not,
Okay.
but it's the most complete one I've seen since the 2001 one. Just complete, more ways to beat you.
Yeah, I think everyone understands that this team is got to prove it. And like I said, there's a lot of, the parity is so great. I think this was the first time since 1996 that teams this far under 500, UCLA, who I believe was winless and a one victory Florida, that teams that were that bad in win-loss records on the same weekend upended 2 top 10 teams. NIL has leveled the playing field. Parity is fun. I think it actually makes sense to have an expanded playoff field, although people have their feelings because what teams are right now, they're not going to be come December, come January.
Chris, why are you laughing?
I could watch Michael Irvin all day.
I keep put it up on all the televisions here. Just put him up. Look, I just want him everywhere.
Belt on the wall.
He's beating.
That's not even the best one, Dan. The best one is him doing push-ups in the locker room when everybody's walking in.
I go belt.
Who's got a better mascot than Michael Irvin as the University of Miami's mascot? Flaws and all. Flaws and all of it.
I mean, he's literally in a couple of these standing right next to the mascot and just outshining him. The mascot's like, yeah, go ahead, man.
He was all around town, just like in overalls, just talking to FSU fans, getting into the banter game. He's about this Miami football life.
Don't you think it's funny, though, that he was from afar envying what Dion was getting in Colorado? Because Michael can't do the things Dion can to become a coach and leader that way. Nobody would ever entrust him with anything except this. I'll give him this, and I'll give him a lifetime. Where
does he find the energy, Dan?
Push-ups in the locker room, Dan. That's all you got to know.
Limitless energy.
Look, right here.
What is it?
I feel like I got to do push-ups.
The mascot is hyping him up.
This guy's tank is always on F. How? How does he do it? He's an older man.
Danny Cannell was on satellite radio interviewing Joe Zagacki last week, and I got out of the car but was legitimately interested in what Joe's answer was to this, because he was asked, what's the best of the games you've ever seen with the Seminoles and the Hurricanes? Which is the one that you remember the most? The one I remember is the one that Michael Irvin in the fourth quarter, down 19-3, came back and stole their championship, running down the sideline, and Tony's faster than Michael is. Like, Michael wasn't even one of the faster guys, but that's what those champions look like. And
Told you the belt.
This team looks like that. This team has Jason Taylor coaching the defensive ends. Like, do you guys realize that how Jason Taylor's going to get into this game trying to be a head coach? By having to do what he's done with those defensive ends. They are learning from the best person to ever rush a passer in the state, in this region. Like, Jason Taylor's working as an assistant coach, a Hall of Fame assistant coach, coaching these defensive ends because they know it's championship good. They know they have the bodies and the money to compete with anybody. When I say it's fixed, you're right, Billy. They'll have to buy another quarterback next year. But those recruits saw what they did to Florida. Like, this is Miami taking the state back. They haven't been able to do that for a while. It's been a minute.
I mean, but that's not what they hired Mario Cristobal to do, was to win the state.
That's correct.
Yes, it was. No, it was. It begins down here. You win the recruiting battles down here, and you feel like if you win the recruiting battles down here, you have the guys to develop and give your team a chance. They are nationally relevant. He's done it inside of 4 years, and he knows the job's not finished. He is back here to win a national championship for Miami. Whether that's this year or down the line, it now feels like we are on that path, and it hasn't felt like that in a very long time in terms of being sustainable, in terms of being real. Yes, Billy is absolutely right. He was brought here to win national championships. You know who said that? Mario Cristobal. You know who says that privately? Mario Cristobal. You can't get there without having these benchmarks along the way. Winning the state, back-to-back state champs, dominating at the line of scrimmage, looking like the best team in America at times. Yeah, they're on their way.
Does it feel like the tide has turned a little bit on Mario? Is it early to say, or is it?
When Mario Cristobal knows more about analytics than people in the NFL right now, because for the life of me, if you think making a two-score game with a field goal is the right move, don't talk to me. Don't talk to me. You go to kill that game. And he made the right call there. The execution was bad. They probably should have called the timeout because it was rushed. Malachi, by the way, had a touchdown if he doesn't run into his offensive lineman.
Malaki.
Billy, I see your face. Now, I want to go down a couple of paths here, Chris. Help me do it, because Mike just threw in a privately there that seems like it's bigger than happen to know and needs imaging. Like that Mario has said something privately suggests that he's talking to Mario or eavesdropping on Mario in private conversation. So when Mike says he's been saying it privately, okay, I want imaging for that, because that seems to be a higher standard of journalism than even happen to know. Don't you agree? Like, what was that? He said it privately.
Well, it's like he knows what the standard is here. He knows what the standard is here better than I do, better than you do, better than Billy does. He knows what it means.
So to that for a second, knows what the standard is. Yes, this is a very emotional story for Mario Cristobal, who can tell you the exile story and what it meant to coach both FIU and Miami. And he's a lunatic, okay? Just overzealous beyond all measure, indefatigable. I guess if Jason Taylor were sitting here right now and I asked him, are you scared of Mario? He'd probably say yes. I think. Just the intensity is not sane. It's I've got to be better than my brother. It's I got to be better than all the other Cubans. It's I got to be better than them at Miami with the Columbus crew behind me. I got to represent Miami. I've got to represent Miami for people Tony's age because his dad knows what I am as an offensive lineman who shouldn't have been playing 100 pounds heavier than I was because I was willing to get, ravage my body in the name of what you do to win this game.
Wordy sentence.
I guarantee
beans and rice.
I guarantee you, it's more like title good.
Yeah, but this person is infected with I'm going to win at we're tougher than you up front. And he's got his lifelong friend next to him, doesn't come up to his knee, who's the offensive line coach. And what I'm watching that I'm telling you is championship good is no, they'll devour you up front too. Like it's not what it was last year with Cam Ward. The secondary will beat you. You want to do it with the linebackers? If that team stays healthy, it's just very clear that there hasn't been this balanced a team here in Miami in 20 years. You can't say this feels like the Stephen Morris University of Miami, Billy. Can you? Do you feel like this is all hyperventilation and absurdity and that we're all on Michael Irvin stuff?
No, I'm just saying you brought in Mario Cristobal when there was a 4-team playoff. He did not make the 4-team playoff. It was expanded to a 12-team playoff. He did not make the 12-team playoff with the number 1 pick in the draft. The team looks good now, but you didn't bring him in to simply say we beat FSU and UF every year.
All correct.
So, you still need to make it. And we've seen good teams that make it to the playoffs that don't end up winning. So when the standard's a national championship, you can't be going around saying 5-0, everything's fixed.
I think you can say the major problems facing this program are fixed. You can't get back into that conversation being national title good without the guys getting picked at the top of the draft. Miami just hasn't been doing that. They had this unbelievable streak of getting first-rounders drafted, and now we're looking at a roster that potentially has 4 top 20 guys on it right now. It is to get there, you need the horses to get there. He's getting that.
So let me just ask you this.
But
Billy.
recruiting's never been his problem. Coaching is his problem.
That is correct.
So, saying that the team is well-rounded and you have all the recruits, that's fine. What they need to overcome is him.
Yeah. Is this not a well-coached team?
It's 5 games into the season.
All right, and they've had the hardest schedule, I think, in the nation. And I think that I hear you. No one's debating whether or not Miami needs to win a title to get absolutely back. There's times for Mario Cristobal's criticisms. There's been plenty of ample opportunities for you to criticize Mario Cristobal.
I'm not criticizing him. I'm just not throwing a championship parade because it's 5-0.
He's criticizing they're officially back statement. I think.
They're back and being in the conversation. They were in the conversation last year.
Can I give you some of the history, though? When I tell you, in all of the last 20 years, you've never heard me say it. I don't do that. I haven't. And so maybe it's my arrogance saying, no, I know what looks championship good down here. I've seen it 6 times. I'm saying, oh, no, I'm looking. It's not just that. It's what happened to Texas in Florida. It's doing the SEC's not actually out in front of anybody. It's all just mirage now. So Saban took all that with him.
Miami is so good this season that they're changing people's minds about teams after they play them. I guess Notre Dame must not be that good. USF, they were ranked. We forget everything that we were saying about them being able to go into the swamp and beat Florida, but they must not be good because Miami throttled them. Look at Florida. They're broken. What happens their very next game? They beat Texas. And not just beat Texas, dominate them in the way that Miami dominated Florida 2 weeks earlier. Miami's a good team. I'm not going to allow people to reverse, to change the narrative around FSU's offense too. Look at those numbers. They've been moving the ball crazy well.
This is what I'm telling you. It's not just the ego of arrogance and what I feel like is expertise. It's because I watch that Miami team and I'm like, no, I trust that all that I'm seeing there is that all of that is durable, sustainable, solid, because those are all athletes. Because when I'm watching the USF game against Charlotte and they're getting up 23-0, and I know it's Charlotte, but I've never seen this before. First quarter, 6 dropped passes right in the chest of USF players because they haven't learned how to play football, but they're unbelievable athletes. They have to go to USF because they can't get into the other 3 schools. The other 3 that are taking the players are UF, FSU, and Miami. And what Miami did to USF to me is more impressive than what they just did to Florida State. Because In the USF game, they finished it. There were no questions. Like, this one will be 28-22, and people will wonder because they didn't watch the entirety of the game. They're like, Miami's playing close games late. They're going conservative. But I'm watching what is clearly a team of better athletes, top to bottom, front to top, like all of the positions, in a way that's obvious. Stephen Morris's team didn't feel like this going in top 5 to Pitt. Like, it wasn't.
Stephen Morris.
You did not trust them. I trust them despite their coach. I feel like their coach might botch one of these late. I've seen him do it a number of times.
Dan, what other team in the nation is putting belt to ass on a brick wall? Okay? What team, Dan?
Mike said it best. The press box has changed. I mean, seriously, get over yourself. We're going to talk during the post game. Tim Reynolds, enough. I mean, enough.
I mean,
seriously.
you just got to know when
You're
the
not allowed to cheer in the press box. Did you know that?
Well, I did.
They were cheering for Will Manso. I think that's allowed.
And Goldie.
If the Dan Le Batard Show comes to a hockey press box, hilarity is going to ensue.
Yeah.
They're going to yell at Will Manso for 7 minutes, and you're probably going to have to go to a
7
stairwell
seconds.
to write, man. Like, it's just...
If it was 7 minutes, I'd get it.
It
was
is what
7
it is.
seconds.
Exactly. I mean, David, everyone else was saying hi. They were enjoying the show. They were laughing at us. But one guy is still clutching on to his newspaper deadline.
I'm a little
and it's
disappointed.
Tim Reynolds.
And is he your demographics, too?
I don't know.
I happen to like Tim a lot, and
Enough of him.
I imagine this was going to be like E.J. Raddick or something, but that's just a bad look for Tim Reynolds.
Listen, I went up to him afterwards.
This was the best part. Stugotz
Yes.
is like, I've known Tim for years. I'm going to go fix this. He walked to Tim and walked right back very quickly.
Yep.
It was a very quick interaction.
Well, he was writing. Okay?
He's on deadline. It's
Enough of the deadline.
It's a work.
We're on deadline,
don't
too.
defend him.
We're on deadline. I gotta get home. I feel like playoff hockey. I gotta get home. I mean,
Yeah, we're on deadline, too. We got to get that post game out.
It is a working press box. Tim Reynolds is a journalist who's trying to write, and Stugotz is back there. Hey, Will Manso!
that was Chris and Goldie. Don't leave out Goldie.
We're on deadline, too. They're going to kick us out of that press box a lot sooner than they'll kick out Tim Reynolds, who's just typing away. That's just
Those writers had their game stories done before the end of the game.
Precisely.
Yeah, a good writer, right?
Oh,
What happened there? I apologized to him. I've known Tim for decades. I mean, Cody was done. He was out of there. I mean, you know.
What was that interaction like, Stugotz? Take us behind the scenes. You walk up to him, you say what, he says what?
I said, Tim, I apologize. That's on me. I should know better. Not Chris, okay? I should know better. I've been in press boxes before. I know you have a deadline. I apologize. And he said, that's fine. Just, try to keep it down.
That is way too long.
That was
Way
much
too
longer
long.
than the actual
He's on
conversation.
deadline.
I always extend it a little bit. I mean, you guys
Can we
know that.
call Tim Reynolds and just ask him about what the
Don't,
interaction was
no,
like?
no.
Greg Cody's back in my day. Seeds.
Seeds. Seeds. Had a slice of watermelon lately? Popped a few grapes in your maw? Then you probably notice seeds are disappearing from fruit. And you probably see this as a good thing just because it makes life a little easier. We love us some convenience. In fact, it's a terrible thing, the de-seeding of us. Symbolically alone, the seed is the king of life. Adam gave his to Eve, and here we are, if you believe the story. If they take the seed out of humans the way we have watermelons, we're all dead ducks. Beans, peas, rice, coffee, corn, all seeds. Flour and oil started as seeds. All hail seeds. So what the hell is happening? In exchange for convenience, we are not valuing the seed's impact on health, biodiversity, and our food system. The genetic variability of most plants require seeds as essential to their evolution. De-seeded, artificially homogenized fruits rely on human intervention in the reproductive process, exposing the fruits to many pathogens. Plainly put, seedless fruits are not as good for you. They contain less fiber and have fewer minerals and vitamins than their seeded natural brethren. Seedless fruits also have fewer antioxidants, plant-based nutrients, and
This episode of the Dan Le Batard Show is presented by DraftKings. DraftKings, the crown is yours.
Roy, can I get a burnt hand update, please?
Ooh.
It's looking pretty good. I thought it was going to be a lot worse. There's not really much damage to be shown here.
Let me see that thing.
Yeah, look at that.
Where's the actual burn?
All 4 fingers right here.
Oh, the tips.
And the thumb. Yeah, it's on the tips. Wow. But not really much damage.
All right, congratulations.
You got out of it unscathed.
All right, so yes, you blamed not unscathed because you blamed your wife for burning your hand.
Yeah, I did.
And I assume that when you got home, you did not return to unscathed. I'm assuming all that gets back to her, does it not?
You think she listens to the show?
Not her. It just gets back through sources. No?
No, luckily.
Okay, congratulations on that because it was one of the most offensive things I've seen anyone do around here. Blame your wife for your burnt hand. So I wish someone would bring that back to her, and I wish it would cause you trouble at home.
Why?
Because you blamed your wife instantaneously because you came in with a burnt hand when you're an adult human being responsible for your own actions, and you said it was something she said that annoyed me. I'm sure you couldn't even remember it.
I understand that, but why are you trying to wreck my marriage, Dan?
I'm not trying to wreck your marriage.
You did say you hoped that he got home and there was trouble in his marriage.
But because it'd be content. I'd like the content
But
of
that's
her.
his life. He has a child. You want the child to come from a broken home for content?
He's a child.
I don't want the home to break. I think that they could withstand it through the love in their marriage.
Well, my life is content for the show, so yeah, I guess you're right.
Okay, and you burnt your hand and now you're fine, and so even that content was a lie. Because there was
a lie.
Well, you don't have any blisters. No one. Did you guys have? Look at his hand, Chris, and tell me you see anything.
It'd
in the
be
way.
hard to tell.
It was close.
Like if you said to me, "Where on my hand was I burned?" I can't tell by looking, and you need to be able to tell if it's a real burn mark.
Anyway, I feel like before I get to Dolphins talk, because I did want to talk to Chris about how he feels. They will turn every running back in the league into a 200-yard back. Everyone, every week against the Dolphins, if they want to run for 200 yards, you can tell them that that's what you're going to do. You could do it with your backup lineman. You could do it for a bad Carolina team. You could do it with 2 offensive linemen out. Whoever your running back is, he will have 23 carries for 200 yards. It doesn't matter who you put back there.
Every week, the Baltimore Ravens are standing in your historically bad defense argument. Because that team is shite.
I saw the stat given yesterday on the Ravens that there's $280 million in salary cap and $160 million of it is out for the Ravens. They gave up 37 points again yesterday. That's historically bad. There are a couple of things in the sport that have been historically bad because already over the first month of the season, the Lions are on the verge of being a team that averaged 33 points last year and now more than that this year. And if they did that, not since the 1941 Bears has anyone had an offense that scores 37 by accident because on a bad day in Cincinnati, they'll turn you over 3 times and they'll feel like they left 20 points on the field.
I saw that stat live during the game, and I was like, damn, okay, so I guess they're better without Ben Johnson?
They're the best offense in the league, point total wise, and they got great field position in that game because Browning is a turnover machine.
Kalawasa.
Browning and the Raiders are something that you see can nuke the entire architecture, even if you're Pete Carroll. If your quarterback turns the ball over 8 times, I mean, if it's Jackson Dart, you're going to lose at the Saints because you turned it over 5 times, and I thought that that's how all young quarterbacks look. I don't trust any of those on the road, but Jane Daniels has moved all of that. And C.J. Stroud every week has us going, well, what happened there? You're 24. You're 24 years old. Is it over for you?
He got mad at everyone. He's like, you guys I was trying to be fun and light, and you guys took it in. It's like, you said you're old. Like, you said it.
He said he looked at high school tape of himself, and what he noticed is, oh, look, the ravages of football. They'll slow the body down.
And then he's like, why would you guys take that and run with it? I barely said anything.
The game from yesterday that I actually want to talk about, we'll get back to the Dolphins tomorrow. They really don't deserve our attention.
Somebody does, though, Dan. Somebody does.
Kind of good.
Forget about Tua. He wasn't even the star of the show. The star of the show was the guy on the broadcast. What was up with him? Did you hear him? He was very excited. It was the first time he had called a game. I think his name is Collins. He does the Hornets broadcast
Eric
Collins. He was a little bit disorienting. He was very excited. I wasn't ready for that level of excitement. I wasn't ready for the Hispanic Rico.
We have a montage of his work yesterday.
Tonga by And Darnold, look at him! What kind of speed do you get, young man? To the end zone. Achan, did he? He did! Look at this! Darnold, still on his feet! Caught back in the end zone. Xavier Leggett. Tunga Bailoa. Got his man. Touchdown, Waller. Young. Caught. It's Horn. Bryce Young. Got his man. Touchdown. Third and 10. Down goes Tunga Bailoa.
That's fun. You didn't like
Third
that?
and 10.
Wait, you don't? You're negative on that? I
Not
love
that I was negative on it. I was just disoriented by it when it was happening during the game. I was like, man, he's really excited for a 2nd and 6.
Gus Johnson vibes.
Yeah, I was going to say, this is just where I think we all are in life right now. Because when Gus Johnson was doing this like 8 years ago, everyone was like, this is awesome. I love this energy. And now this guy's doing it, like, oh, God, calm down. Dude.
Rico!
He's so happy about. World sucks.
There were a couple of great catches in that game. I mean, Leggett and Achan had great catches, but you have to dress up the game a little bit, don't you? If there was it Schlereth, is that their 5th broadcast? What is that? Is that their 4th
6.
broadcast?
Who's counting?
No, but if I say nationally,
It's down there.
If I say nationally, hey, you got Carolina Dolphins this week. That's Schlereth is what, the 4th team or?
We don't have to count numbers. They're pretty low down
He was
there.
hilarious on that call.
I love that Schlereth doesn't give a bleep and has fun and has more fun than most of the broadcasters, but he's working with, his 40th partner here, and this guy swaggers into the booth and he's like, watch this, I got a little Latin flair and a little Gus Johnson for you, and Man 101 wants to slap him with 6 of his dead fingers in the face because he's like, another one of these turds coming around here trying to mess up the broadcast. Honor football, young man. Honor the sport down there. We're calling Carolina, and we're expecting 5 minutes left in the game. We're expecting a Tua over.
No one expected that game being featured on Red Zone as much as it was, right? I think it's more of a testament to how bad the 1 p.m. slate was, but I saw way too much of that game for my liking on Red Zone.
Man, what was the best one? We had Eagles Broncos. That was like the good stuff.
Ooh, guts.
No. Patriots, Bills. Like Drake May's good. And
Oh yeah, but we're
going
talking
1
about the
p.m.
talking about that
slate,
1
though,
p.m.
1
slate.
o'clock
Yeah.
Woof.
witching hour. Even Scott Hansen was like, we got some work cut out ahead of us.
So Denver beats the Eagles. Eagles could be 0-5. That one's funny because close games in that league. And I saw that the stat on Jalen Hurts is 10.5 home games, 0 interceptions. They just hold the ball, beat you up, and it's like new football. Lions and Eagles, punch you in the face all the way down the field, and we're going to do it with Dan Campbell's mentality. And they've got the most physical teams in the league. And from behind them, here's Baker Mayfield galloping around on a stallion, trying to throw a rope at like, oh, Sam Darnold, really? You're going to match me stat for stat as we're going to light up the skies, and Baker's going to take it from me at the end because Sam Darnold.
Doesn't matter who's out. Is Wirfs ever going to play for me? My franchise's greatest receiver is out. Bucky Irving, an absolute dog in the backfield, out. Doesn't matter. Best defense in the league. Cross-country road trip. Doesn't matter. Baker Mayfield, MVP.
You mentioned roping. I bet Baker Mayfield could rope a boat. For sure.
It is really cool to watch Baker Mayfield. I remember this show arguing, right, as the Cleveland Browns, swallowed him up. Just bad organization swallows up a dude who wants it so badly. The Browns, I saw yesterday, have gone 10 straight games scoring 17 or fewer points, trying to get a quarterback, trying to get Johnny Manziel, going with Joe Flacco, and then losing inexplicably a game to lead off your Sunday where Carson Wentz does something no one's done since the year 2000. 9 for 9 on a drive. That's the Brady era in there. No one has been as good on a late drive than he was when Myles Garrett is gassed and sitting on his helmet, and they got to call timeouts for Myles Garrett because he's tired of chasing Carson Wentz all over another country for this shit Browns team.
It was really important you knocked off those 11 seconds on the drive before Stefanski.
Right.
Myles Garrett is exhausted. It wasn't even about blocking him. I don't know what the hell they did to Myles Garrett. They were calling timeouts so Myles Garrett could sit down. Why? Because Carson Wentz was eating. Right down the field against the best defense in the league, Browns, there goes your season. Because we've got Justin Jefferson, 9 for 9. No quarterback has done it since 2000. That's the Brady years in there. Carson Wentz goes right down the field. Those two teams don't matter. They don't matter.
Vikings could matter. Vikings matter a little bit.
Where are you putting them?
Wild card adjacent. Could be.
They'll be playing meaningful games in December.
Good roster.
All right, wait a minute.
You don't think they'll be playing meaningful games in December?
Okay.
Good roster.
I don't want to go any further. I do not want to take one step further, okay? Not one, without talking about that Arizona game.
Oh, thank God.
No, because I have failed in not talking about the difference in that league between winning games and losing games, and the difference between being 3-1 or 2-2. The idea that the Arizona Cardinals lost a football game yesterday, and I am saying here out loud that not since the Vikings won a playoff game on the last play against the Saints have I been more surprised to see a team lose a game in the last 15 years of football than watching the way that Arizona lost this particular game against the Titans, who had Cam Ward throw an interception for a touchdown. That's the biggest touchdown that
for his team.
Yes. No, I'm going to try it again. I know I'm going to try this again. Look, I wrote down on notes where one of those I've never seen this play.
He threw a touchdown to Tyler Lockett.
He threw a touchdown to Tyler Lockett, and these are the notes on that play that I have. Cam Ward dropped back to pass for what might be the single most important pass that he's thrown this season, because that team was headed to 0-5, didn't deserve to win this football game. Won this football game only because when Arizona was up 21-6 with Amari Descarado.
Yes. Keep going.
He goes 71 yards with the football, and then right before the goal line, casually lays it out, and it is not a touchdown. And instead of being up 28-6, the Arizona Cardinals lost a game yesterday that I think it might be the most inexplicable loss I have seen in 25 years watching football because of how the Titans did not deserve to win this game. But Cam Ward's game-winning interception. No, this is what it was. It was clutch by Cam Ward. Cam Ward gets his first win. Spencer Rattler took him 10. Cam Ward gets his first win because they're hard to come by. No matter how much Descarado throws the football game away.
Do you think Jonathan Gannon's helping the situation?
He had no reaction.
What do you mean he had no reaction? Throw up the video again. This is courtesy of local news. DeMarcado feeling terrible about what happened. Couldn't feel worse. Gannon. Yeah, no, let's strike the player. I'm sure that'll fix things.
I thought that guy's been hiding a suppressed rage behind the stoicism of having to coach that mountain of shit out in Arizona every year.
I think they've lost every game by a field goal at the end, right?
This one, look, if you do not know how they lost this football game, what I'm saying to you is a football player who would have given them a 28-6 lead, Descarado, dropped the football again a week after it just happened.
It's debatable. I thought it was a touchdown.
This is a tough break. Got a tough break.
A stupidity that should never happen again in the history of football, and yet happened two weeks ago and happens again today, goes from 28-6 to we're going to lose the football game because of the play I'm about to describe. I had to write it down, and I had to rewind it 6 times to make sure I got all of this right. Cam Ward drops back to pass, and it hits a hand. One hand tipped at the line of scrimmage of a Cardinal. Then it is caught by the 2 hands of another Cardinal, who drops to the ground and then tries to get up running, and the ball squirts out, whereupon it hits the one hand of one Cardinal, that foot of that same one hand, and then the other hand of the other Cardinal before it hits the hand and the 2 feet of another Cardinal and ends up in a touchdown for Tyler Lockett, whereupon I remember that Tyler Lockett had gone to the Titans to help Cam Ward because he hasn't made a play for him all season.
He went to the equipment manager and he's like, save that ball. I saw that. You can't advance a fumble, but since the ball went backward, touchdown Titans.
How do we coach out of the game the dropping the ball before the end zone? You coach them run through the end zone with the ball.
I'm
you
sure
don't drop that
I'm
ball
sure that's
until you are
Pop Warner.
through the end zone.
That's right.
No, I don't mean that first line. You run through the back of the end zone.
I hate watching the Titans because I love Cameron Ward so much, and I feel like he's betrayed left and right by his receivers and his head coach. Brian Callahan does not deserve to have that victory. Deciding to not go for 2 in that spot, I mean, what is he doing?
I know what you're doing there, Paul.
But there were some yes, Cameron Ward, very fortunate to get that first dub. Let's not forget there were some absolute dots that were thrown all over that field. Cameron Ward made plays for that team. I think, look, we rattled off the stats of how Will Levis got off to a more impressive start in his career. It is rare for a team to be this bad with a quarterback taking number 1 where everyone watching knows problem's not the QB. They got to help the guy out.
Kyler Murray also turned the ball over on a snap that hit him in the face and might have sent him into concussion protocol.
They're claiming that was a leg injury.
Dan, I was Jason Garrett turning to the TV. I was like,
well, Tony, I've got to salute you on this, okay? Because I'm not out on Kyler Murray. But look, you talk about an unprecedented day for me because it hasn't been I have not in 20 years said the U is back. But this is what I am willing to say about the Arizona Cardinals. They're just losers. Like, you lose a game like that, like you don't understand how stupid it is that the Tennessee Titans won that football game. The Tennessee Titans were terrible that entire game, and they've just got Cam Ward running around in circles trying to make plays across his body. He's got to throw the ball across his body like no other quarterback in his league because Calvin Ridley was spent 3 years ago. And he needs help. I'm not joking when I tell you, name the nominees on 25 years you've been watching football, and one of you tell me you saw the Arizona Titans game and have seen anything like that where you get 3 fluke plays, like just randomly fluke plays. Cam Ward lost the football game at the end. It was a bad interception. All you've got to do is fall on the floor and stay there. That's all. You don't have to do anything else. In a game where Geno Smith's career is over because he's throwing too many interceptions. In a game where the turnover is the most valuable of possessions, if I tell you right now, something happened in that Colts game where both kickers got hurt. The punter, first of all, getting a punt blocked when you're in full, like that, I'm surprised more legs don't snap and just end up in the bleachers.
That's what happened to me, dude. If I would have had that last kick, Dan, my leg would have gone over the house in the back. It's 50 yards back there.
Both kickers got hurt, and my immediate reaction was, I wonder if any of these coaches would take those 15 yards right now in the first quarter because the rest of the game, they can't use their kicker. They're going to have to go for 2 every time. I thought that immediately. If the game is predicated on you cannot turn the ball over, the Arizona Cardinals had it twice in their hands, and all they had to do was not move, go into full rigor mortis. Just don't drop the football. No one is going to touch the football. No one's going to bother you. All you had to do was that twice. I don't think you'll find a game in the last 25 years that you can counter me that with. What are you laughing about, Chris?
You're right. I'm trying to think.
Because the game would have been 28-6, and they were running away with it. The Titans were ready to go home. It's hard to travel. The body hurts. Cam Ward would have been fine going 28-6. Okay, you can have it, Arizona. We're not going to fight back. We're not going to fight you on this. It was clearly that decisive. I have not. Cleveland lost a game that way yesterday too. Like when the Cleveland Browns had a chance with Myles Garrett, who re-signed there, to save their season in a game that in every way they had won because Carson Wentz's offensive line is banged up and it's Carson Wentz. And with all mathematical improbabilities against them all, Carson Wentz had the best drive that there's been in 20 years at the end of a game. In the 25 years at the end of a game in this sport, and it just kicks off your football Sunday.
And that's a crazy stat because I feel like I've seen 4 very recent Baker Mayfield games where he's doing that down the stretch. But that pass in the end zone, the ball placement there, that was almost as astonishing as the still image of Carson Wentz meeting Dylan Gabriel at midfield, and you realize Dylan Gabriel's very, very small. It was probably a bad draft.
Wentz is huge.
Oh, this part's funny, Tony, when I'm watching the University of Miami. Yes, Carson Wentz was the highest paid quarterback in the league, and Dylan Gabriel is never going to be because he can't throw the ball more than 10 yards downfield. He'll play one of these games where he gives you.
That's why he got drafted. Like, he's got a strong arm. He's just small. But Dan, to your point, it has to look a certain way. Yeah. And when you're that short, playing in that uniform with the dude backing you up that everybody else wants to see, it just doesn't feel it. I have decades of experience being a Browns fan. Dillon Gabriel thing, I don't think it's going to work out.
I mean, even watching Panthers-Dolphins, you see these two little quarterbacks. And then you watch Sunday Night Football, Josh Allen, even Drake May looks good. You're just like, this is what it should look like. Why am I watching Panthers-Dolphins?
It's got to look a certain way,
Look at
Coach.
Kyler Murray.
Drake May.
He had that one
looks
move.
Good.
He had a good move, though, Dan. I'm not going to be a total hater. He had that one good move where he shook, I think it was a defensive end out of his shoes and scored a touchdown. Great.
The only way to overcompensate that is if you have an 8-foot moxie and cock the way that Baker Mayfield has. Wow.
Yeah, this is one of the things that's going to be in play as it relates to Baker Mayfield. I want to talk about that for a second. But first, let's get our nominees here, Chris Cody on Hampton Farms and the Nuttiest Fan. I'm nominating Michael Irvin as University of Miami mascot. I'm nominating all of his histrionics.
Let's build up. Let's build up to that. It's the Nuttiest Fan, brought to you by Hampton Farms. Get nutty with Hampton Farms, the official peanut of bowl season. Vote for your favorite Nutty Fan at Le Batard Show on Instagram. And be sure to keep an eye out for Lucy at Auburn if you think you are your team's Nuttiest Fan. First nominee, a sad shark leaving Chapel Hill down 35-3. Just not going well for Bill Belichick, and this shark decided to wear a shark costume and then was like, you know what, I'm out of here.
I got some breaking news for you guys. According to Ross Martin of 247 Sports, the University of North Carolina staff has been directed by Bill Belichick not to post or repost anything related to the Patriots, which explains why there were no posts about Drake May's performance Sunday night in the win over Buffalo, per Ross Martin of 247 Sports.
Not a good look.
Well, not a good look, but also amazing to watch the pettiness of Bill Belichick at North Carolina as the Patriots have now regrouped. It'll be one of his players, Vrabel, who brings them back because, oh, look, they hit on the quarterback, the North Carolina kid we all thought was a top 5 prospect while he was at North Carolina. And now North Carolina can't even celebrate it because they got Belichick on their hands.
Our second nominee for Nuttiest Fan by Hampton Farms are these Ohio State fans. Someone's got to explain this to me. They're at some point I guess they're at the shoe. They're all taking their shoes off and lifting their shoes in the air. This seems ridiculous, but they're all doing it at once. That had to be a smelly section, am I right?
Yeah. What is that? What is the history of that?
It's the shoe, Dan.
It's just the shoe?
They all take their shoes off. And then we build up our third nominee. We've already celebrated some of his antics with the belt. This is Michael Irvin with an FSU fan after the game.
Miami's a You still taking your ass home with that loss, though. Miami! Go home, grab that grease, get in your room. You got me. You got me, bro. You got me, bro. You got me, bro. You got me, bro. You got me. But you taking home that defeat, and you busting up Mary those 5 fingers tonight like a baby. Yo, that's legendary.
The fan. That's legendary.
Michael had time for him.
I love that because that was heated. You knew it wasn't going to get physical. It was just good, friendly banter between fan bases.
I don't know.
Did he know it wasn't going to get physical?
I think both of those. I mean, obviously, the FSU guy wasn't going to do anything. I think Michael Irvin was under control there, just giving the guy the business.
Control.
Just giving him the business.
That's under control.
I never thought he was going to hit him. Never thought he was going to hit him.
That's late at night. How does he still have this energy?
Are we still living in a world where you're going to assume that famous former football players just aren't going to attack you?
That's fair.
Mark Sanchez.
Yes.
Okay, you guys, I didn't know what to do with that story because this is how that story came out. So, Mark Sanchez was in Indianapolis for Colts Raiders. The Raiders season is a disaster. Pete Carroll regrets coming back. What am I doing with my life? Geno Smith's not going to fix this. I'm not going to be able to fix what plagues the Raiders. The story that comes out during the football Sunday, Mark Sanchez stabbed in stable condition. So there's an outpouring of worry for Mark Sanchez, former USC quarterback, the best thing the Jets have had at quarterback this century. The Jets are the worst. They're 0-5. They had 13 missed tackles in the first half yesterday, and when Dallas was trying to run out the clock just to run out the ball to halftime, they allowed a 70-yard run because the Jets are just awful. The last 3 coaches are 0-3 to start the season, and this is the worst of them, and he starts 0-5. because the Jets are a sinking pit, and Justin Fields and nobody there is going to fix anything. No disputes. Case closed.
No, sounds good for me.
Can we put them in the file?
Moving on.
Let's keep getting those Garrett Wilson overs, though. We
could,
like those.
But we could just put that off to the side and finish the Jet season yesterday, correct? We're all done, everybody?
Yeah.
Everybody, there will be no coming back from that. So then all of us, there was an outpouring for Mark Sanchez, but then the next thing that happened was reports Mark Sanchez has been arrested. And so what I thought was, good God, how has he been stabbed in a fight? What happened at a nightclub? What drunkenness was there? There's just information that he's been stabbed. What are the details here? The next thing is the police report is, he's not a victim here necessarily. He's not in the police report as a victim, and now he's being arrested at the airport. What happened here? And then the detail I get this morning is 69-year-old truck driver. And so now I only have these small bits of information on whatever was happening in an alley in Indianapolis late at night. But then there's and then pepper spray is one of the details too, that Mark Sanchez had been pepper sprayed. And that's the only information I have on what happened in a dark alley that ends with Mark Sanchez being stabbed.
There are details that are still coming out. Again, this is all alleged, but there was an altercation that happened in a loading dock. Mark Sanchez allegedly took exception to how this delivery driver was parking, invoked the manager wouldn't want you to be there, attacked the 69-year-old, which, by the way, there are some photos that have surfaced online of the condition that victim is in.
We don't want to watch any of those,
It
right?
is.
We don't want to.
The picture is brutal.
It is
when you
hard
see
to look at. The man apparently defended himself, attempted to pepper spray Mark Sanchez, which, according to what's out there, for the moment stopped him. But then Mark Sanchez went again to attack the man, who then defended himself. And thankfully, I did a cursory search before, and I found it very odd that Mark Sanchez wasn't the listed victim on this, which gave people pause that I'm sure some people in the media regret not displaying initially, because the takes were flying, Dan.
Mark Sanchez, well, we do this one all the time, though, just make all of these people who are many different things, we turn them into one thing that we know and put them in the easy compartment. I'm assuming that in his broadcast career, people feel like they know Mark Sanchez. They saw his career at USC. They saw him be great for the Jets, and as a broadcaster, he's got it all together. And I have no idea what happened in an alley at 3:30 in the morning in Indianapolis that involved pepper spray. And I assume that if there was a stabbing, I assume like a box cutter. My mind can go in all places of imagination, but Mark Sanchez is in stable condition at the hospital because he too was harmed by whatever it is that happened in this alley.
When you see the arrest details too, public intoxication was among the things that were listed, so you know that there were some other things at play here.
He allegedly tried to force his way into the guy's truck. The guy pepper sprayed him, ran away. He chased him down, and then he got. It's obviously weird. And also, by the way, while he was clearly wrong in attacking an old man, you're not happy that he got stabbed, and you do hope that he has a speedy recovery, even though obviously he seems to have been the aggressor in this situation.
And the details are bad, too, when you hear that the truck driver, who's 69 years old, takes down and turns down his hearing aids because the truck is really loud in the alley. So I think the dispute was Mark Sanchez was trying to talk to him. He couldn't hear him because he didn't have his hearing aids in, and then that's kind of how things got started.
Allegedly.
Detective Tony's on it.
I read.
Well, this
Kind of crazy, huh?
Well,
it's like, what?
Okay, so here we are now.
Tony, find out more.
All avoidable, Tony, if Spiro Didis was just where he was supposed
Thank you,
to
exactly
be. And
right.
That was a CBS game. It should have never
Exactly
been a Fox
right,
game.
exactly right.
Some people were calling this one out beforehand. It's a Fox game. This doesn't make sense. That should be Spiro.
Loading docks are weird, right?
They are.
Like, they're not a uniform height for some reason.
Mm-hmm.
If they
What do you
were
mean by
all,
that?
well, like some loading docks are not tall enough for the trucks that are bringing in deliveries.
I thought they're all designed for like 18-wheelers.
Yeah.
You would think, right? But like, I don't know if you guys drive here, but in
No.
the morning sometimes there's often trucks making deliveries, and they just take up one lane of traffic because the loading dock in a new building only has like 15-foot clearance, and I guess this thing's like 18 or 19 feet tall, which I don't understand why you don't have like a universal height for loading docks, which then lead to traffic jams. And, I don't know if that's what was at play here. I'm not going to look to excuse anyone's obviously horrible behavior, but you do wonder if that had a higher maybe clearance, maybe this would have been avoided.
It is a weird thing to get hung up on where he's like, hey, you got to move this truck, bro. And it's like,
at like 3 in the morning,
Like,
I'd be
what do
like,
you care?
no, yeah,
so
you're
look,
walking around like,
what are you
and
doing
at first
here?
it was a DoorDash driver. I mean, that was a massive
All right.
order if he was driving an 18-wheeler.
So, Billy, I do imagine that wherever it is that your life gets busy on the weekend because the fatherhood is hard, I would imagine that you would do some really pretty rigorous sleuthing about wherever your imagination would take you once you get the details of stabbing and now arrested to what happened in that alley when you throw a 69-year-old truck driver into the mix. I think we all went the same places with our imagination on being, oh, that's too bad for Mark Sanchez. I wonder what happened, what kind of drinking was involved, who'd he get into a fight with, to he's been arrested, to wait a minute, what are the details here? Why is a man...
You see the photos, you're like, Jesus.
So what, and so then after that, everyone's like, well, if he's pepper sprayed, now we're just wondering about substances or whatever it is that the mind will do in the imagination of what happened in that Indianapolis alley at 3:00 in the morning. Is that fair?
It is when public intoxication is one of the things that are listed for us to peruse. These are not the actions of someone of a clear mind, if we're to believe what's in the reports. That is not. That is shocking behavior for Mark Sanchez, which is why the takes were flying, because surely no one in their minds could concoct this situation. If I told you this ahead of time, it's like a random name generator with random violence. It doesn't compute.
Tony will continue to gather.
It's also very rare where the person who was stabbed multiple times was very clearly in the wrong here.
I don't know about you guys, but when it comes to how it is America sells its football, and Tom Brady is the most expensive guy because he smiles and he'll interview your receiver after the game. Mark Sanchez carved a lane through New York media of being not one of these great quarterbacks, but a poster boy for USC football, a poster boy for winning, and the most successful Jets quarterback that there's been in 25 years. And I still imagine him more as somebody in a suit walking around as a broadcaster, because his post-career, as I get to live off the fame of being a former quarterback, I, for some reason, visually, when my imagination was thinking on these details very glancingly, I'm imagining him in his broadcast gear because I've seen him more in a suit than I have in a uniform recently.
There goes the one Latino Fox ad.
Oh!
During Hispanic Heritage Month.
You guys got me, though, with all the guys they got on baseball, Pedro and Big Papi.
Yeah,
They flooded the zone. They flooded the zone. You might came back with Hector Gomez as the big Latin personality that's get to flourish throughout the media these days. How many seasons can we be done with? The Browning experiment in Cincinnati, everything there is over, and it will all be built on whatever Joe Burrow's body can withstand later, so he can make T. Higgins look. Jamar Chase and T. Higgins can only look that way for Burrow. Browning will throw 3 interceptions a game. Can't have that anymore. That doesn't work in today's league. Like that was very maybe get you to the playoffs in a game, slinging it one day, but we don't play that way anymore, kid.
It's almost like they should try to trade for somebody else to salvage a little bit of the season, maybe.
It's over.
Okay.
No.
Yeah.
I mean, they had to outscore people with Burrow last year, and they could not.
Yeah.
Look, I think we can bury some things after this first month of the season.
We got Jets already. We wrote down Jets.
I had Hercules Gonzalez. I didn't know who Hector Gomez was. As fate would have it, he is a former baseball player, but not presently in media.
Okay. Thank you for bailing me out there. Yes. Hector Gomez.
You're good, though,
not
Dan.
hurt.
You're good.
No, well, but I don't think I should be good there, though. I think
Hercules Gomez, Hector Gomez.
I was going to say, you said Hercules
I said
Gonzalez, who I didn't also
it's
know.
Hercules. Well, look, I guess we're all in the wrong here, and this actually underscores why there needs to be more representation.
So, Schlittler is a name that I have seen. The Blue Jays are clubbing the Yankees right now, 2 straight games. And I meant to mention this the other day when Cam Schlittler ends up striking out 12, something he hadn't done at any level of baseball before, any time he'd ever played, but did it in a game. That a couple of times this season I've been listening on the radio and a broadcaster slips up on Schlittler, which is a scary word, and and then backtracks and like you can hit a table pounded. Like I messed that up. I knew that was going to happen. Schlittler, one of the most dangerous names we've ever had in sports broadcasting. Mad Dog butchered this, I'm told.
Let me start here, and then we'll get into Schlichter, who obviously was Schlittler.
So he kind of botched it, and he's like, I need to re-say this.
Let me start here, and then we'll get into Schlichter, who obviously was Schlittler. Let me start here, and then we'll get into Schlichter, who obviously was Schlittler.
How about Gronk? What did Gronk mess up this weekend?
Rookie sensation, wide receiver out of Ohio State, Emeka Egbegbue, going for over 100 yards. Emeka Egbuka. I'm getting confused. Emeka Egbegbue.
That kid's good.
Emeka Egbegbue.
He's good, man. Baker Mayfield likes throwing like 30-yard darts no one else is throwing.
Emeka Egbegbue going for over.
You guys better learn that name. I just saw a Hall of Famer go to the locker room, and this guy took his job.
Emeka Egbegbue.
Mike Evans was doing the 1,000-yard seasons there. He got 12 of them as the freak from the past from Texas A&M because he was different than everyone else. And job stolen.
Emeka Egbegbue.
Tampa's got to be legitimately good. That division is terrible. And, Baker Mayfield might have a 3-turnover game. But I cannot imagine what Carolina Panther fans feel when they see Sam Darnold and Baker Mayfield in the stat lines in the fourth quarter of that game. Oh, it's like ping, ping, 35-35. They're going down the field. Okay, both of these quarterbacks are going to do it with whoever it is we put out there with them because – At this point, Baker Mayfield has had a great many injuries. For them to go into Seattle, when you saw what Seattle did to the Saints, like Seattle's good. Seattle's obviously a team that is physical and good. To go in there and win and sling it out at the end again, because Baker Mayfield's that guy, he might as well play in cowboy boots, man. Like he might as well have a cigarette back there in terms of how much he's enjoying. Okay, some guys took the Tom Brady, Peyton Manning route of public perception, or Mark Sanchez, or however it is I'm going to present myself to the media and America as face of quarterbacking today. There's only one playing right now that feels and looks like the attitude Favre had when he was the different one with Peyton Manning and Tom Brady. There's only one quarterback out there playing like that, where it's like, oh, shit, he doesn't care who's with him. He's going to keep slinging it 25, 30 yards at a time. Go ahead and beat him. You're going to leave him 2 minutes? That's too much. You've left him too much. He's going to beat you on the road in Seattle. You think your defense is good? No, not as good as this is late in games.
It might be good. It might be best in the league good. Don't matter because he's got an 8-foot cock.
There's something interesting happening there. Baker Mayfield's had a rough –
Go on.
It's been a rough ride. He was this close to being back up, never getting any of these chances anymore. And now he's got the biggest bravado in the league. Like now,
yeah, he does.
Yeah, that bravado is huge. Weighs about 45 pounds.
It's impressive to see a team that we don't think is good as the elite teams, their quarterback saying again and again on the road, however you want to play the game, yes, we are.
He doesn't have moxie. He has coxie.
Wow.
Seeds are fun, not to mention aesthetically and visually pleasing. Kids growing up today have sliced open a watermelon, have never sliced open a watermelon, and experienced the joy of seeing that juicy red flesh dotted with embedded black seeds. Nellie Doogie used to tell us if we swallowed a watermelon seed, a big melon would grow on our belly. It wasn't true. But as kids would make a competition out of seed spitting. You extracted the big seeds from the melon flesh. Tongue only, never fingers or a utensil, and you'd see who could project a seed the farthest. Every summer we did that. This was before video games, kids. Made our own games and toys. Flew a kite, kicked a can, spit a seed. Grapes were the real challenge because the seeds were so much smaller. We'd both pop a grape in our mouth, tongue moving, jaws in action, and whoever could spit out 3 seeds onto the table the fastest won. To this day, I carve real pumpkins and eschew the free fab foam and plastic fakes, mainly for the treasure trove of seeds inside. Hundreds and hundreds of them waiting to be scraped out, cleaned, and roasted in the oven to become delicious natural snacks. Respect, worship, and bring back the seeds. I need a t-shirt that says convenience is overrated. Insist to your local grocer that you'll take your watermelon seeded, please, and the grapes too. I'm Greg Cody, and that's how it was back in my day.
Journalism is dead. But journalism, as we know it, as you know it, what you wanted to do when you were a little kid, okay? It has changed. It has. It's changed, okay? You're not wrong. Stephen A. Smith is not wrong. You have to adapt sometimes, okay? Because the game has changed. Your priorities have shifted. No one cares how someone goes and gets the news that they get, as long as the news is accurate, as long as it's coming from a credible place. If it's Woj, if it's Adam Schefter, if it's you, if it's Diana Rossini, if it's Shams, nobody cares. You might care. Greg Cody might care. Stephen A. Smith might care. But you know what? You all sold out. Every single one of you, okay? Stephen A. Smith jumped inside the circus tent. I don't blame him. Why'd he do it? Because he had to do it. Because the game has changed. You jumped inside the circus tent. You did. You did so with me. Think about that. With me and with Greg Cody every Tuesday, okay? And so you have ditched journalism a long, long time ago because why? Survival of the fittest, Dan. You have to change with the times. You have to roll with the changing environment, roll with the changing industry, and that's what you decided to do. That's what Stephen A. decided to do. And for Woj, for guys like him, the game has changed slightly, where he went out and he sought reports, and he wanted to be the reporter. And you know what? If now he has morphed into a mouthpiece for the Blazers, I'm okay with it. I am good with it. I don't
Survival
care.
of the fattest.
Everyone, exactly. Everyone is selling out to make a buck.
What a terrible timing.
It
by
was
you.
great.
Like that joke.
Hey, just give it up. You all want to be journalists. You're not journalists anymore. None of you. Not a one of you. Sorry.
You didn't even hear the joke. You
Oh,
said
I did. Survival of the fattest. It was great.
It just could have been done after Stugotz stopped talking, Dan.
Right.
Yeah.
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 Shoehorn that
But
in.
I'm okay. I'm okay
You're
with
splitting
it.
hairs.
Right.
Okay.
You adapt. You roll with things, man. That's it. You know, Dan, you started off, you know, if you're a driver, you drove a yellow cab and you were loyal to the yellow cab. You know what? But the game has changed to Uber, to Lyft, to private driving. And you know what? You have to ditch the yellow cab and you have to drive an Uber. Why? Because you'll make more money. Why? Because more people are taking Uber than the dirty yellow cabs. That's why. That's what you do. No one cares about journalism. You know what they care about? Laughing, being entertained. And you do a great job of that. And Stephen A. Smith does a great job of that. No one cares about journalism. People care about smiling. That's it.
You know, this morning I found myself while I was driving Claire to school. I told her, you know, you ask a lot of questions. You should be a journalist. And now here in this conversation, I just, you know what? Don't be a journalist. Like,
Exactly.
do something else.
It's over.
Sad.
You're going to let Stugotz parent your daughter. You think that's a good idea?
You think journalism is a good occupation to choose now?
I would not. Listen, not only is it not a good occupation to choose, I have looked around Miami and realized we're the only ones providing the jobs we're presently providing. I heard local TV reporters are making $45,000 a year.
Huh.
I couldn't believe that. That's how bad local television is struggling. That's the place that has arrived. And I told Chris Cody not to get into this business at all because it's terrible.
But Stephen A. Smith is making more money than he's ever made in his entire life. He has more power. he has more of everything than he's ever had in his entire life. You want him to give that up because of journalism? Like, get out of here.
I believe you can do both. You're being very
How?
You're being very absolute about this. First of all, he does. He
Right.
does reporting, does journalism. He is very credible. When he gives information, it's not like Skip Bayless giving information. There is a difference. Skip Bayless also allegedly a journalist, but he's been contaminated by this thing and distorted by it in ways that are even more poisonous because he doesn't do any reporting anymore. Like, he doesn't talk to people in a way that's informed. Stephen A. actually goes to things, has relationships, and certainly when he's talking about basketball, if Stephen A. gives you information that's not opinion, you trust that it's informed.
No doubt. But every time he does that show, Dan, every single episode, his journalistic integrity, it shreds away. Little by little, piece by piece, it just does. He is doing a debate show debating the most ridiculous topics in the history of sports. Like, it has to affect your credibility.
What a great football weekend for your boy. I had the Canes dominate. Baker won. Cameron Ward won. I was looking at the Tampa Bay schedule. So many great games. We got duels with Josh Allen on the schedule. They got San Francisco next up. We got a Monday Night Football game against the Lions in 2 weeks. I'm going to see these Tampa Bay Bucks on the road at some point this season to support my beloved Baker Mayfield. And you know where I'm going to go to get those tickets? The Game Time app. Take the guesswork out of buying NFL tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code DAN for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Swipe, tap, ticket, go.
The Baker story is a cool one when I tell it through the context of what it takes to be one of the people who gets the privilege of being a star at that position in America, which makes you, in the game that most grinds these guys to dust, one of the 10, 15 guys allowed to be a superstar. Not a fantasy sports superstar, not the guy that your league loves to have. No, one of the quarterbacks who gets to be Mark Sanchez walking around in retirement with a great broadcasting career. Because once we anoint you here, you got a broadcasting job for life as I'm Americana. I told you my story in college when I was at Oklahoma, and the school mattered more when I was there, when I ran Johnny Manziel off the road, and I'm the guy with the video that you can see me trying to run away from the cops. I'm an outlaw. People are all polarized by him as he gets to the pros, not unlike Tua, polarizing guy. Why is he polarizing? Polarizing guy. Cleveland has expectations for the first time in 30 years, never should have done it. Swallows him whole. Odell Beckham ends his career. Jarvis Landry, thanks for trying. Wouldn't want to limp through retirement with you because of how you had to play, trying to keep that shit machine at 500. The shit machine Browns don't have anything good, can't be trusted with anything good, spend all their money on a quarterback and are crippled forever, no matter who they play back there. 17 points in the last 10 games. That's how you're uninteresting the same way you were when you were 1-31 for 2 seasons. Franchise, done. Myles Garrett, you should have forced your way out of there. They're going to eat up your career, and it's not going to be worth it, and you're tired at the end of the games. And look, it's Carson Wentz, and Minnesota's past you. They'll do things with Flores. Your career's going to be wasted there, Myles. It's going to be a bummer.
He seems aware.
They'll make him quit the way that the Lions once made Calvin Johnson quit and Barry Sanders quit, because you can't play physically that way and be ravaged by that sport. But the Baker Mayfield story, I want to talk about this for a second, because you're not really allowed to come and ransack the league from behind on a horse collar, because no, you guys left me for dead back there, and I had one Monday night game with McVay, and I got back in the game, and now me and Sam Darnold got back to the riches, when there are 10 of these jobs in America. Like, these things eat everybody up, but what is it? Is it 10? Is it 15? How many quarterbacks? Sam Darnold's a football player. He's not a star. I'm talking about the guys who get to be personality and story, and this guy's got playing the whole game. What's the equivalent of the modern equivalent of what used to be the cigarettes tied up in the sleeve of the shoulder pads? Like He's John Wayning his way to victories on the road when Sam Darnold's playing out of his mind.
All the games are going the exact same way. It's kind of like Phillip Rivers in a way, with the same kind of attitude. And what I love so much about Baker Mayfield, outside of his playing style, which I think there's consensus, he's fun to watch. Yeah. He is a great player to watch, and everybody roots for those situations at the end of games because they know he has the arm talent and the moxie to get the ball downfield, and he's going to try. He's going to give it his best. He was humbled by this league, but the humbling came by running scout team defensive end for Carolina. He had to save his career. Thank God for Sean McVay, because if it wasn't for that, we probably don't have Baker Mayfield doing this on Sunday. But he didn't change his personality. He kept to his authentic self. He's out there mixing it up with fans before and after the game, finding them after the game. He had every reason to change his approach to the game. He remained true to himself, to his playing style, to his guts, guile, to his attitude. I'm so happy.
But you're doing a bunch of guile and moxie, and I just want to go back to the arguments we had back before you got Deshaun Watson when you were an actual Browns fan, and I was saying, why would Baker Mayfield keep trying to get 3 more yards to get this thing to 500 when he's clearly playing hurt? We saw what he looked like, and then he's giving himself to this cause, and it's going to ruin his career. It's going to end his career.
That's moxie, which you just described.
But none of that is moxie. That's crazy. What I'm describing to you is scout team defensive end for Carolina. Go, Mike, find that tweet you sent me the other day of all the things Carolina has given up to try and find a quarterback when they had Sam Darnold and Baker Mayfield and had to let go of both of them because clearly Carolina never knows what it's doing at professional sports. The only time they're any good at anything is when North Carolina basketball makes them feel good at something. Sure as shit is never the football team.
I have it here. I did the math, took inventory. A total of 5 first-round draft picks, 2 seconds, 1 third, 2 fourths, DJ Moore, and a staggering $230 million guaranteed for the privilege of having Deshaun Watson and Bryce Young play quarterback over Baker Mayfield for your franchise.
They had Sam Darnold and Baker Mayfield, and losing organizations are going to be losing organizations. And that's what the Jets are, and that's what the Browns are. But
that's what the Bucs are supposed to be without Tom Brady. And this guy, you couldn't pick a tougher guy to follow. And a more different dude, by the way. Yeah, he does the LFG stuff, but his approach is different. That's why last year, in Tom Brady's greatest moment as a broadcaster, you kind of saw the difference in their approach, and Tom Brady kind of took offense to it. They have an identity. Their identity is as clear as anybody's in the league. We're going to let our quarterback win these games for us. And he's going to check with his receivers, and he's going to go downfield, and it doesn't matter how good your defense is, because that is a brilliant defense that Seattle has, and it didn't matter.
Let me frame this, though, a different way for you, because when we talk about stars and faces for this league, okay, one of the reasons they're giving Brady that much money to be a broadcaster is because if they keep America tethered to the broadcast, hey, that's Tony Romo. I remember him. They keep the quarterbacks in your living room on Sundays because Troy Aikman's one of the voices, and I remember when his best season was 20 touchdowns. Like the way that they continue to grow the sport through all of its voices and everything that they're doing. Baker Mayfield, Tom Brady from on high lorded down during the broadcast, as Mike just said. It was the most interesting broadcasting moment he had, and it's because that's not the way he would have done it. But this is the way Baker does it. And when I think about likability, I like Baker a lot more than I do Brady. And I know, Brady, you're the winner. You get to win at everything. But that seems more authentic to me, flaws and all, than whatever it is you're grinning about with your perfect teeth and saying nothing during the broadcast, even though I know you know shit, but you've got so many corporate conflicts and compromises that you can't say anything through that grit teeth except give me more money. Like it's all like stamped on your face. I can't professionally broadcast here. I'm too compromised. I've got too many sponsors. Baker Mayfield's real. Like whatever that is has been on display for a long time. That part's super interesting to me, right? When I see what happens to Belichick, I see Kraft try to redo the story. I see Brady try to redo the story over here. And now Drake May's the star in New England, and they get to take over with Vrabel. And oh, look, Belichick wasn't actually all of those special things. He kind of needed the quarterback who thought he was responsible for it. And at the end, Brady wins. He always wins. But what does he do with what I think a lot of us would say is, I like Baker more. You're selling all these brands, but I like that. That seems flawed and weird. And, look at what happens when it's the arrogance without all the talent and winning, and you had it much. Like, Brady comes from privilege, comparatively, right? Like, 7th-round pick, but didn't have to go through what Baker did.
Well, people liking it more seemed to be the thing that got under Tom's perfect skin last year. It's like, this team has really rallied around Baker, and Baker's saying, look, I got a different way of doing it. And Tom Brady's like, but my way of doing it has me as the greatest of all time, winning a championship for this franchise. Baker's a vibes guy.
I think the thing is, America loves redemption, right? We've seen Baker be humbled. We've seen him be the best. We've seen him be chased by police. We've seen him win the Heisman. We've seen him go in the first round. We saw him broken in front of us. We saw him run DN for the scout team in Carolina. We saw him go sent over to the Rams and played on a Thursday night with 36 minutes of studying the playbook. And then with Brady, there's never been any sort of humbling. It's just been, I'm here. I'm the best. I win 3 Super Bowls. Then I win 3 Super Bowls after that. And then I'm the perfect guy.
It's funny. It's the one who comes from privilege is the 7th rounder. It's just a funny thing to look back on and see, like,
Baker's first overall pick. It's
like,
weird.
When you think about how quarterbacks are made in this sport and how we don't actually know, right? Like, we can have an argument just last week about, so hold on a second, who's better? Is it Brock Purdy, who was Mr. Irrelevant in the draft, or is it Mac Jones, who went high in the draft? Who's better? It's whoever plays with Shanahan the longest is the one who's going to get to be better. Okay, that's how it works. Thank you for teaching us that. It's an interesting thing to learn that way. Belichick wanted to trade Garoppolo over to Shanahan. They've got something figured out over there. That's Belichick, not the smartest guy anymore. Whoop! We've all seen it stripped. Brady won. He takes the credit. Kraft tells the story. Belichick is running around the earth, embarrassing himself at the end of his career, has no chance against these teams. Mike Lombardi, game passed him by, sending apology letters, everyone mocking him for not knowing what actual pros look like because they didn't get any of them, and North Carolina's not playing top-tier football. Belichick's thing ends in disgrace where they're saying as a university, we're not going to celebrate Drake May because they're rebuilding it in New England without us. It's going to be Vrabel and it's going to be Drake May, and they just knocked off the Bills. No word from North Carolina. How small is that as an ending for Belichick? Brady's not going to lose at the end here, and neither is Kraft, but Belichick loses all the way to the grave? Like, just that everything that was
He's
built.
winning at some aspects.
Which
His
of the
girlfriend?
One aspect.
She's young.
That's winning. To trade it all for disgrace, though, like, because what I thought that was royalty. I thought that was genius that knew no bounds. I thought that knew more about how to win than all the other people trying to compete at how to win. And now, no. Like, professional football over money's being played in college and the old men have been left out. I mean, I just saw James Franklin run out of the sport this weekend. Like, that's one of the highest paid coaches in the game. He just lost to 0-4 UCLA. That never happens to a real program. That never happens. That's a never thing. Lose to 0-4 when you're a top program in the country.
Also, it's not a normal thing for the 0-4 team to have a quarterback that held his college football playoff team hostage over an NIL package. It's just a very strange time. Bill Belichick's got to struggle with it. Hopefully he realizes he's getting smacked in the mouth right now. Hopefully he realizes he's not smarter than everybody else. And I need to get dudes. This isn't about scouting. James Franklin, though, that one's a weird one. And the excuses were not great. Cross-country flight, are you kidding me?
I want to talk about the college football of the weekend because I love that Washington-Maryland game. I love the K-State-Baylor game. But before I do that, can you guys just tell me, like, how many touchdowns Demarcado has in his career? Because I was not familiar with this person's work before yesterday. And this is my fault, not his, because I don't mean to call him a nobody. He's just not somebody whose name I associated with touchdowns, even though on this particular play, he carried the ball 70 yards.
He was forced to step up last week or 2 weeks ago in Thursday Night Football and made a big play. He has in his career 3 total touchdowns, seeing the playing time because of the terrible injury situation that Arizona has in their backfield.
And James Conner is out, and the difference between the Cardinals mattering this season and being the difference between, 3-1?
Yeah, it's all field goals. That's all their losses. They're out Connor, they're out Trey Benson. DeMarcado was always going to be the backup. Michael Carter actually flashed quite nicely for Arizona yesterday, but no, it's a bad situation.
How much national shame? This is not the same. The Colts rebounded from Mitchell doing this at the goal line. The Colts lost a heartbreaker. Let's think about what we're talking about here when we do these examinations of these teams, okay? The Broncos just beat Philadelphia, a team that could not be beaten 20 of 21 times, went into Philadelphia, do it with Sean Payton saying, I'm down 17-16. I'm going for 2 here. Don't care about everything you've got going on, champion Philadelphia. I'm not going for the tie here.
They didn't play a clean game, but last couple of weeks are concerning because this is a team, very strange season. All right, they're a team that is built to hold on to leads, better than anybody else in the league. And these second halves have been
The Eagles
confusing.
could be 0-5. That sport is super weird. The Broncos are a couple of bounces from being 5-0 and Sean Payton going into Philadelphia and doing with Bo Nix what I now ask all of you. So who is it? Is it the coaches or is it the quarterbacks? Okay, because Bo Nix, I saw him play for a long time, and I didn't think Bo Nix was this. Sean Payton has made something in Denver that can walk into Philadelphia and do what nobody does, and because it wasn't the late game, because it wasn't Buffalo and New England, and because we will get bored with droning excellence. Even if you're we will. Even if it's 20 games in Philadelphia and you get to win all the time, we'll throw in, let me figure out, A.J. Brown's not happy. Saquon's not getting enough carries. Jalen Hurts doesn't throw interceptions at home. That team is just meant to be a bunch of cement mixers that go down the field and churn up your bodies until you limp through retirement. They're just 11 cement mixers going down the field, and Saquon's thighs are bigger than all of your players. And Jalen Hurts squats, 7,000 pounds. That's funny. And then it's the Lions standing in their way. Dan Campbell saying, okay, bang.
And a dude in the corner with cigarettes tucked under his sleeve.
All right, let's talk about this for a second, okay? Let's talk about that because Kansas City is playing Jacksonville tonight. And I want to believe in Jacksonville.
It's a big one, Dan.
This is a huge game for the show.
Jacksonville, athletically, I watched them, and they just drop the ball and they do dumb shit. But you're not going to convince me that Jacksonville does not have every bit at home on Monday night playing what is an enormous game against a Kansas City team that's ready to be doubted. You will not convince me that Jacksonville cannot athletically show you something today to America that hasn't been watching Jacksonville because it's coming out of grainy land over there that smells like paper mills still, even though it was 20 years ago. I know it was 20 years ago.
And now Worthy's hurt. The great equalizer, Dan. You may get to be right about the Chiefs again. The way that you were, by the way, about Darren Waller. You know ball, pal.
Yeah, sorry about that, Dan.
We owe you
We
all
owe you an apology.
an apology and, quite frankly, a debt of gratitude. Because after last week, I'm not skeptical of old Darren Waller and Dan's takes here. You made me some money over the weekend. Thank you.
So Darren Waller's another one of these ridiculous physical freaks. Like Philadelphia's got one in Goddard. They just don't use him that much.
They've used him a couple times the last couple of weeks. Remember he got that underhand pass?
Your Waller takes, by the way, have completely erased your Belichick is going to be a beast in North Carolina.
Well, no, I'll tell you one that's an all-time loser for me. You mentioned this. I was thinking about this weekend. As I see Brady try and claw with the end of his career on how do I protect my brand, what Nick Saban has done is an all-time L for me in being a very vigorous public critic of him when he came to dabble in professional ball. And there's a documentary coming about on this soon, and I express my remorse and regret in it as well. Nick Saban had a deal with Wayne Huizenga that if he didn't like it in the pros, he could just go back. It's how Huizenga got him, and it's the reason Huizenga was never mad at Nick Saban for leaving the Dolphins, because he said, I'll try it for a year. He didn't like it. What Nick Saban has done with the last 25 years of his career to now go into broadcasting, to go and get real power and influence within the NIL game, to get out at the perfect time at Alabama. What just happened to Belichick is the ego of him not knowing what Nick Saban already knew, which is, no, I've been in this game. You ain't coming down here with Mike Lombardi. No, You and Mike Lombardi aren't gonna know that.
No.
You're not that much. You and
Asino.
Charlie Weiss were not that much smarter than everybody.
They seem to think so. Lombardi talked a lot about this conference and the coaches in it, and about how their program was going to be a lot better from the jump. You need dudes.
But Saban also left on his own terms, which Belichick didn't. So, like, Belichick left coaching or left the Patriots with a bad taste in his mouth, so he wanted to kind of change his ending to coaching, where Nick Saban kind of got to choose his ending in coaching.
But do you guys realize this stuff is interesting when I watch what Dion and Michael Irvin are doing with their media legacies over the last, they've been as famous in retirement as they were during play.
Again, it was mentioned by Billy earlier, but Mike's media legacy kind of towards the end.
Sideways.
Agreed. I'm just talking
as nicely and probably unjustly so.
I have my regret already from an hour ago saying that Michael Irvin should be the mascot for the University of Miami, because there are some details there that are ugly. And flaws and all has always been the thing that has been in Miami, something that at the very least is authentic. But when you talk about Belichick and his legacy at the end here, there is literally no precedent for what it is that we're witnessing happen to this man in North Carolina. He is disgracing himself with what all of us thought was, which is he is smarter than everyone else, and the legacy and the resume prove it. In all the competing that Brady, him, and Kraft and the Kraft family do in the last, 10 years, the Krafts can sit here and say more credibly than Belichick can, hey, organizations win, Bill. Organizations win. And Brady would say, no, I won. I won because Tampa was a laughingstock. But the Patriots have rebuilt it. Like, that's unusual to go Jared Mayo. Okay, you'll be the guy who's the sacrificial lamb after the guy. Let's drag you out of here. Let's get you out of here in a hurry. Get a first-round pick. 2 4-12 seasons. All right, we're back MVP. We got Drake May. Now let's see what the next 5 years look like.
He looks good.
The Belichick thing is so confusing because I know he wants to get back to the pro game. Everyone knows this. And he was always the guy that was like, keep the distractions away, Patriot way, no distractions. And the thing that is standing in his way is totally manufactured by he and his camp. And it makes everything. The lack of success is one thing. Everyone could understand. If it wasn't a circus, everyone can understand that there's an adjustment period getting into the ACC when you haven't been a college guy in this new unprecedented time where everyone's trying to figure it out. Look, Dabo's having a hard time with it.
The worst place, though, this is the worst place where Belichick will get swallowed. There will be not time. There won't be time to repair this. Like this.
He could have just been quiet. He could have loved whoever he wanted to love and just been quiet, and he'd eventually get his path back to the league. And now, over the last few months, I think someone's going to take a chance on the go. I don't know, dude. He might be done. What he hasn't. We can all agree.
What has he proved?
He might end up down here.
We can all agree. He's hurt his chances with this North Carolina thing and the ensuing circus.
The precedent that I'm speaking of, okay, because I do want to stop for a moment and be truly awed by it, because whatever it is that you guys think of America's greatest leaders through sports through time, Don Shula, Vince Lombardi, whatever it is you thought greatness looked like, because those people had a way to greatness none of us understood. Belichick was that, and now, at the end, has been left behind by an assortment of things that include your scheming and advantage isn't as great as the others have because their players are better than yours, because they're not inhibited by a salary cap to equalize things, because all of these advantages at this mercenary level are going to leave you stripped naked on a front porch for all the world to see that you're not a genius, you're just a guy leaving an apartment, and we knew it was you. We knew from the shape of your body. We knew it was you back then, and we said that looks too much remarkably like Belichick to not be him. And then it all came out. Think about this for a second. That's like Vince Lombardi doing that. I want you guys to imagine at Alabama. Go ahead and imagine at Alabama, Bear Bryant leaving. This guy taught Saban everything he knew. Saban did it. You think Saban would get caught doing that?
Hamas.
It'd be funny if Miss Terry was following him out the door, though.
It is crazy.
Mr.
We're
Nick
in
Saban on a
agreement,
Ring
right?
Video door cam.
We're
Let's
in
go.
agreement that the enjoyment that team, the worst part of what's happened to him there is the following. Because everything's been so sped up, Bill, that's the 4 games you got. That's the grace period. Dion had to do it in a year. Like Cristobal's got 3 years to do it. You got to do it. Oh, this is what it looks like the first year. Oh no, you're not competitive at all. And also North Carolina, no longer interesting. No, zero interest. Clearly well behind everyone else. That's minor league football in minor league football. That is not a top program. Period. End of story. We can close the book on that.
I got to think he knows now what it's about. I think he's a little behind the 8 ball in that he thought he could scout his way to it a little bit, and I think he knows immediately it's not all about that. There is like a scouting network and an eval. Look, Miami's doing it with some true freshmen that weren't like the highest rated guys. There's some of that too at play. North Carolina has the budget to fix this. North Carolina has the resources to just be like, we're going to attack the portal. We're going to attack high school recruiting. It's just he kind of wasted a year, and he looks bad in doing so. He's getting embarrassed, and there is nothing that is in the gossip sphere that remotely reminds us of who this guy was when he was a pro.
Belichick was good in the early days evaluator, but the last couple times, the last maybe, 10, 15 years of the draft, like, what has shown you that he's drafted from getting evaluations that hit?
So this is the most interesting part of this to me as someone who will concede on the front end and must, as we all must. Oh, these people know millions and millions and millions of times more about what they do for a living than we do, and we'll dissect every part of it, and we'll say, his quarterback was better. They devote their life to this, and Bill Belichick has for a long time believed that he is smarter than everyone else because they had a quarterback who won all the games, and we were convinced was because of the military discipline of the Patriot way that can harbor a murderer and survive it and keep winning championships because whatever. They ruled football because they were smarter than everyone else. But then Brady won as soon as he left and went through Mahomes, Rodgers, and somebody else on the road in order to do it. Like, who was it? It was Mahomes, Rodgers. It was a holy trinity. Brady went on the road.
I think Breeze was on that path.
He ended all the quarterbacks on his way out. Like, he took all the winning with him, and this is what's left. Like, it's an all-time fall from grace. There will be no time in recorded sports history where you'll be able to find this happening to somebody where they get unmasked. Oh, you weren't a general who was smarter than everyone else. You were Charlie Weiss in a different uniform.
If the story ends right now, yeah, probably. But it would be a footnote. I mean, you get some separation from it. Everyone's going to...
No, of course it's going to be a footnote, but
should probably rename the Lombardi Trophy after him. He's like one of the greatest to ever do it.
No, but you guys understand what I'm saying, though. Yeah, he can have all the trophies, and he can and will get forevermore greatest ever. No one can ever change that. But we all now know, and it's like, ooh, you showed us that it wasn't actually that he was smarter than everyone else. Like, it's an unmasking that
yeah, without Tom Brady as his quarterback, his record reflects that of Dave Wannstedt, not the greatest of all time.
Think about what you just said.
I did.
I mean, come on.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. Now, he gets credit for developing Tom Brady. He found Tom Brady. He and his team found Tom Brady. They developed him because remember what Tom Brady was at the start of his career? He was a guy that was winning really on the back of that Bill Belichick defense. He does deserve credit for that.
Can we do funniest thing from the sports weekend? Because there's no more reason to talk about North Carolina football until next season.
I think I'd take Dave Wannstedt back right now for the Dolphins. Like, if you could assure me like a Dave Wannstedt type run from like the early 2000s, would you guys not take that?
Billy, what's funny in retrospect is that Dave Wannstedt was run out of town for going 11-5 and 10-6 every year, but he was doing it because he was just burning up Ricky Williams for 400 carries a season. Like, and then they didn't win any playoff games with him either. Like, they'd go 10-6 and 11-5, but they get to the playoffs and they didn't have a quarterback.
19 yards yesterday on the ground. How?
Well,
How?
The Dolphins cannot run the ball, and every single team in the league will run for 300 yards on them.
Mike McDaniel copped to them not being fully prepared for that. I know. I saw Zaz like, well, then if that's the case, fire him. Yeah.
He looked like a broken man walking into the locker room.
He took his
glasses
off.
He was walking in. Ooh,
Where are you guys on this? They were up 17-0 in the game. They lose to Carolina on the road. The season is over. Even Greg Cody's done. He finally wrote the column. Yes, Greg, Chris, did you read your father's column? Greg Cody has arrived. He's going to be mad if he comes in here tomorrow and you guys didn't read this column where he has bailed on the Dolphins.
I wonder what that column looked like when they were up 17-0.
I feel like they thought
that's what I was thinking about. I'm like, God damn it, my dad's going to come in here this week and say, I was right. Told you they'd be 2-3.
They thought they won that game, and they just kind of tried to coast to the end and then somehow thought, like, oh, we're just going to have a game-winning drive, and then they did seem to have a game-winning drive, and then Bryce Young had 2 game-winning drives, and then they decided to punt it on 4th down with like 1 minute and 40 seconds left.
Sometimes you just run into Rico Dowdle.
It was 4th and 17.
Yeah, it was 4th and 17, but they couldn't stop them all game long, and they only had 2 timeouts. Like, you knew you weren't going to get that ball back.
Mike Ryan doesn't want me to be right on the Miami Dolphins have a historically bad defense that you will see over the course of this season.
It's not Mike, Dan.
It's not me. It's the Ravens.
It's the Ravens.
It's all the defenses that are worse in the league.
CJ Stroud, you think you're good here.
I'm sorry. The Ravens were watching that game along. All right, we got to top this. We got to give 50 points to CJ Stroud.
What I want you to do before the end of the season is disprove me when this becomes a defense that puts up statistics that you've never seen from a Dolphin defense because they can't get off the field against anybody. Not him, not 10 yards of carry.
He's their backup, Dan.
They had 2 backup offensive linemen.
It was confusing. Their edge rushers were doing the thing I thought they would do during the season, but they're still so bad.
You guys understand the predicament that we're in, Billy? Surely you understand this. The way the championships are won now, it's Sirianni and Dan Campbell. It's flex a muscle. It's we're going to run the ball on you, and you're not going to be able to stop our pass rush.
Even the plays we make, Bradley Chubb, they just handed him that ball.
That was a
He
great
didn't
play.
make a play.
That was a great play. I'm waiting for someone to do that to Ruben Bain.
Just drop the ball
Yeah,
right in
here,
front of
you
him.
can have it.
If we want to look at the positive, admittedly, this week's a test against the Chargers, but the Chargers have dropped 2 in a row.
All right.
So they're kind of coming in. This is going to be a who wants it more game. Then you got the Browns, Dylan Gabriel. I mean, I don't know how we felt about him yesterday.
Had some moments. He had some moments.
We'll see what happens there. Falcons.
We don't know what they are.
Chris, let's do funniest
And the Ravens
thing.
that looked like a game you were sure would
Let's
lose.
do the
I mean,
funniest thing from the sports weekend, Chris.
Hey,
we could be
people,
looking at 4-4
tell
real
us what
soon.
in the sport made you laugh hardest this weekend. It is a segment we call What Made You Laugh This Weekend. Ha ha ha!
I've got the Yankees.
That's a good one. I'm going to go with the Bills fan that caught a pass from Josh Allen, put the ball under his shirt, and just started sprinting up to run away. Because why do they should let the fans keep those balls. Like, what are we doing here?
That
I know
is a little weird. I don't understand that.
I think it's because nowadays teams like prep their balls, so like that off. Like we've been prepping that ball. Give us like I don't like that rule.
Yeah, the whole football thing. It's a little militaristically weird. You'd agree, right? Like that, our footballs are precious things. Only certain people can have them. No fan can run off with it. It's got microchips. No one can deflate gate. You remember what we did to Kraft and Ted Wells? It cost us $5 million. Never again.
We can't play the sound, but Tirico did like play-by-play of the guy taking off. It's like there he goes up the concourse and he's out of here.
He had a plan, like, from the beginning. Like, if I ever catch a ball, I'm sprinting out of here because there was, like, no time to think.
And the security at the top kind of glanced at him and was just like, go ahead, man. I don't give a shit.
You think if they can tell where the microchip is in the ball, they can tell where the microchip is at your house, right?
Well, let me ask you
Just
a
turn it
question.
on?
But is that thievery, or is that person now? Does that person now have a souvenir? Is something that is protected by the football military that is not allowed to get outside the stadium? Does he now have something that would sell at a local pawn shop? Did he run out of there with $30,000? Like, is that?
I think it was the second quarter. Did that guy just leave?
Did he just win the lottery of I catch a football and I run out the concourse, I can sell this famous football for X number of dollars, vastly more than what I paid to get in here?
Why
No?
was it famous? It was an incompletion way out of the back of the end zone.
What are those footballs worth when they're so protected about you're not allowed to run out of the
$500?
stadium with them?
My funniest thing from the weekend is Saturday's Lightning-Panthers game, which saw 322 penalty minutes. It was it was just a funny sight to see.
Roy, I steamrolled you there. What are the funniest parts of a brawl that, again, if I made it happen in football yesterday, everyone would be arrested and entire football team would be desecrated publicly because this was a full-on riot that was disguised as a hockey game.
There was so many game misconducts in that game that nobody noticed that Niko Mikkola, who had a game misconduct a couple of minutes earlier, got an assist on a power play goal, which was then stripped
They're like, wait, he was supposed to be ejected. That goal doesn't count. I love it. Chaos.
That was 5 minutes later, by the way.
Because it was a riot. Because that's not.
What's he still doing here?
That's not professional sports.
You killed a guy.
How are we? So 2-time champions makes it so that we don't understand the absurdity of this sport. That if right now I played this baseball game and I had all of these players having all of these fights, there would be arrests. A basketball game, if I did this is not. When's the last time a game had this many penalty minutes? Any game, any time.
Senators, Panthers.
Yeah,
every time
they play.
Yeah.
Brothers. You know brothers.
The record is 412. That was Senators, Flyers in 2004.
Just off the dome.
I found on eBay an authentic Philadelphia Eagles game used football versus Atlanta Falcons from October 26, 2008 for $109 plus $12.50 shipping.
But that's not the champion. This is not this Eagles. A football from these Eagles stolen. You do understand that the Eagles and Lions are playing a primitive brand of football. And it's funny that in the space age of modern offense, you can't trust Dylan Gabriel to throw a ball 15 yards downfield. But these two, you know what the devices I was thinking of? The farm machine. What is the biggest of the farm machines? Because cement mixer doesn't really
plow?
work.
Like a big plow?
No, but there's something that eats up wheat, something giant.
Like a hay baler?
I like it being described as a farm machine.
Yeah. Cement
And you
mixer.
do this with it too.
With
You gotta say
wheels.
farm
A
machine.
farm
Yeah.
machine.
Mixer.
But no, but
Are you talking about a tractor?
I'm
What are we talking
I'm
about?
talking about the
Cement
trowel.
It's like the big
farm?
thing that like runs
Did
through
my-
the grain and like.
Did my guy
like,
just
does
call a
this
tractor
thing.
a farm machine?
Cement mixer.
it's not just a tractor. It feels to me like there is something that is larger that runs through hay or runs through cornfields that isn't merely a tractor.
Oh, a farm machine.
No, it's a wood chipper. Chris was asking if a wood
Sometimes
chipper
like
was
lawn guys, you'll see him throwing a tree, and all of a sudden it's getting shrubs are getting.
I'm not
The
doing
lawn
lawns,
machines.
though. I'm doing the great outdoors, and I'm doing something that has
great
to
outdoors.
something
John Candy.
something that has to butcher fields, and
Like
it's
a
not
corn
merely a
head?
tractor.
Or front folding grain
so-
drill,
so-
maybe?
Building farm machine.
All right, so this is what I'm saying to you. This is my analysis of the Lions and the Eagles. Tell me if there's a third team you put in here. As I tell you that the Lions are averaging more points per game for 2 seasons than anyone since the 1941 Bears. Give me the third team that plows like a farm machine through the American terrain of real estate acquisition. Give me the third team that you put in this class of category, because I thought the Ravens were that with their physical defense, and it took a month for John Harbaugh to get exposed. Zaz over here has been telling us for the last 5 weeks that Jim Harbaugh is better than even Belichick is the greatest coach ever, and then I see, oh no, but if you have Jaden Daniels, no, that kind of changes everything. It kind of changes whether you're good at your defense or not.
My funniest thing was Michael Irvin taking a belt to a brick wall, but now it's Dan saying farm machines.
I think you're thinking about a John Deere T6 800 combine.
Combine machine.
The farm machine. Farm machine.
That's the farm machine.
look at 'em,
farm
man.
machine. Thank you.
Look at those cement
That
mixers.
right there. That is them. That is
Eagles offensive line right there, Dan.
There it is.
Which one's
Yes, he
Penny?
landed Dickerson.
Which one's Penny Sewell?